the fucking world is stupid. Meanwhile, you're just sitting back here crowing like you're actually something. Fuck off with that.
No, I'm telling you, you don't have it all figured out. I'm not saying I have it all figured out. I'm telling you, you definitely don't have it all figured out. You're the one sitting here.
Fuck is what you are.
Hold on, you're the one sitting here.
You're a shitty human being when you do this shit, man.
You're the one that's sitting here. You just projected onto me because you're the one sitting here thinking you got it all figured out.
I never said that I had it all figured out. You're the one sitting here telling the rest of society that they need to get their shit together, that you know better than them. Fuck off with that.
Because you guys think you have this definitive answer of what's happening with the light in between us and the mountain.
It's pretty definitive, Jeremy.
You're spiraling for no reason because you're spiraling because you're mad about the fact that I'm right and you can't prove it definitively, and you think you got it all
to prove that you're right.
Figured out.
You don't have any evidence. You can't even provide citations to us. That's how bad you are at providing evidence.
You're projecting.
And on top of it, your citations don't.
But I can't even post it for you.
Your citations don't even agree with you, Jeremy. And when they don't agree with you, you say, "Oh, it's a hostile witness, therefore I'm allowed to cherry pick." No, that's not how that works. You don't even use your terms right. You don't use your information gathering correctly. Everything about you is based on a fucking lie. And the sooner that you realize the shitty tactics that you employ and how awful it is to talk to you when you're just being such an arrogant fuck, you would be a better person.
He's only like this.
You guys are just spiraling.
What about Andrew Thomas Young, Jeremy? Is that the hostile witness? Is that who our expert is?
He hasn't used that argument in over 8 months.
I've used him before. However, even what he thinks is only subjective and not definitive in any way, shape, or form. So even if somebody does want to use him, it's not like he proved it. He didn't prove it definitively.
Yeah, there's a reason why we don't
think they got it all
definitive in science. There's
they think they got it all figured out, Kimo, and they don't. They're arrogant fucks. Just like did you hear what Brian just did to me? He was projecting.
I'm actually quite certain that for example, me personally, I do have it
because they don't understand how light works.
Just ask me anything. I have it figured out.
So essentially, Ranty's mountain is coming through a denser medium, which is why it's being pulled down. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying they don't know. They act like they do know exactly what's happening between us and the mountain or us and Blackpool Tower, and they don't. They're just arrogant fucks.
Jeremy, would you like to tell us what's happening? If you're so smart, tell us.
I'm not saying I know. I'm just saying you guys think that you know. Well, hold on. Do you want to hear my answer? I'm not saying I do know. I'm saying you guys think you know, and you don't. That's the arrogance.
Wow, man.
Wow, what the fuck, dude?
I don't know how much we can go along with accusing each other. You know, how much you don't know, how much we know. Jeremy, what's your standard of evidence that you require to make a definitive claim of the nature of reality when it comes to light and the light mechanics, let's say, and how light propagate and how light get affected when it goes at different temperature, different pressures, different angle, different densities? Is there some type of experiment or a amount of evidence that you require for us to actually convince you or be convinced by it?
Yeah, there's a way you could definitively prove where the object actually is compared to where you're actually seeing it at. You could draw a straight line to that object.
You understand this is different from actually asking you if you can definitively know the nature of
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, but I asked you a question earlier.
Repeat what I said just now, because I feel like you didn't even hear it.
I heard you said. I heard what you said. You said basically we can know by actually. I want to answer Jeremy's question if you don't mind. Jeremy said earlier that the way we know whether we actually know the exact position or the location of an object is by drawing a straight line to that object. But this is not an answer to my question earlier. My question is there a requirement of evidence where you need to be convinced whether the nature of light that we say definitively as it is?
A straight line to the object would do it. That would definitively prove it. I don't see any other way to definitively prove it other than
Would that tell you something about the nature of light?
Yes, it would tell us where the object actually is as opposed to where we're seeing it.
But I think we're discussing how light works.
Yeah.
So we know, like, for example, when refraction happens and internal reflection happens and reflection happens, we know when those things happens, right? We can measure the angle as well.
Yeah, and we know when light goes down from, like, let's say the top of a mountain down through denser atmosphere, quote unquote, to the ground, that it's going to appear to have a larger angle, not a smaller angle. So Jeremy has it backwards. Thinking that it can bend it down or whatever.
Oh yeah, it's quite funny if it's like if he thinks that the Earth is flat and it bends downward. Like it's just like you said, we will be like living on Halo, which would be actually cool. I don't mind it, honestly. Like imagine like you're living here in some state and we're like 2 miles apart, and I can still see you because of this effect.
It just demonstrates how primitive you guys are.
Is that comment constructive, Kimo?
Can't even figure out the numbers of the atmosphere, how it works.
Is that a constructive comment?
Can't even figure out the height of the sun.
Are you being productive now, Kimo, or helpful?
Well, how are we supposed to do it?
Here's a picture for Jeremy.
Yeah, picture Jeremy.
Yeah, they're just presupposing what's happening in between.
No, we're
you
not
and the
presupposing.
mountain.
This is how light bends when it goes from less dense to more dense mediums. Right?
Yeah, the Kimo. The only way to prove this would be to, make a horizontal line or something from you to an object in the distance, and then see where you see the object. So.
And you know who makes horizontal lines? Surveyors, people doing geodesy.
They do it optically, looking through
No, they don't
auto
only.
levels.
Jeremy, they did this in the 1700s. What optics did they have in the 1700s?
With the chains in India.
They used chains.
Oh my God, we
chains
went through
are pretty
that
straight, don't you think? Chains and compasses.
He's already been
another problem.
on
You're
this
using
too.
compasses.
I know.
Were they using magnetic declination or just going straight off whatever the compass said? You don't even know, bro.
You don't even like east and west headings. You can't even do east and west headings.
You don't know what's going on, dude. That's what I'm saying.
In a little while, it'll be like 2 years he's been here. He could have had a fucking degree, man.
No, he could never have had a degree stone. Come on.
Oh,
you could have had a brain stone, but you still haven't got one.
I'm sorry, what?
You could have grew a brain in that
time
also.
I know what the fucking shape of the Earth is, man. I'm not down here going,
Stone, you know the Earth is flat, okay? You've got no evidence of a globe, so stop pretending you're on a spinning ball.
Oh man, I don't call you out on your silly shit, man, because I honestly think.
Let's debate. Let's debate, Stone. Let's have a friendly debate. So,
debate?
Yeah. So my evidence for the
shape of the Earth
for the
flat.
Yeah. My evidence for the flat Earth is water. Large bodies of water always find its level horizontal.
Wait a minute. Just the other day you were arguing that water went uphill.
Yeah, that was just me teasing
Water's
Ranty.
magic.
Yeah, so which is it, Kimo? Does water go uphill or not?
I was talking to a buddy. I wasn't debating somebody. Duh.
No, you were telling us this and posting
No,
videos.
I was telling Ranty. Me and Ranty were having a laugh.
You were talking to us. Ranty wasn't even here for the first half of that.
Yes, he was. He was the one that was out.
No, he was here for the second half.
When water goes uphill, it's not at rest.
Shame on you, Kimo. Shame on you for lying to us.
Are you saying water doesn't go uphill?
Shame on you, Kimo.
Water
lying to us, saying that water finds its level but also goes uphill.
What's it doing going uphill? Finding its level.
It's not finding its level. That's not finding the level that you're talking about.
Well, it's on the move.
Why else would it go uphill?
To find its level.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's not following your what is that? Relative density, is it?
Yeah, sure. Why is it not? It's
because
more dense in the medium that it's in, and it's on the floor where it should be. Duh.
Yeah, but again, if you actually pay attention to what Vidi says, it doesn't apply to relative density because it goes up, and water is heavier than or denser than the air. So when it goes up, it should goes down because it goes to a less denser air, which means water is denser, should go down.
that
So why does it
proves.
go up?
Oh, that proves our direction. So there is no direction. You can see that it goes in any water goes in any direction.
Dude, are you okay?
We saw the water go up those hills in different directions. Or
Man, this guy is mental, man.
Or were they all going north?
You're literally mental. Did I break you or something?
Were those hills headed north? You see, when you have a fantasy, anything is possible.
Man, I swear, since you brought up the water uphill argument, man, I don't think you're gonna leave safely anymore. Every time you're gonna bring up the relative density, we're gonna discuss the water uphill thingy with you now.
And what's it doing? It's finding
It's
relative
your
density.
question. I don't know how relative density works. You do.
It's finding its relative density. So,
Okay.
you can see that it's moving, so it's seeking as it should be.
Okay, as you wish.
And its relative density will be depending on the medium.
It's fine, man.
What? Why does the medium change?
Medium didn't change.
But the results do.
The results
So after
change.
6 years, this is still your best argument, huh, Kimo? The
Slopey-
water's
slopey-
sentient or
slopey
something,
earth.
and it finds its own level everywhere.
Slopey earth, sticky air, and salty air.
You dumbass.
There you go. 6 years.
Are they not Easter eggs for something?
They're like turds. Like
If you're
turds
part
in
of
your cereal.
the great show.
I hope someone
But if
is
you're being
recording this
watched-
and recording what Kimo is saying, because I really want to take Nathan's and QE's opinions on what Kimo's is saying now.
If we're being watched in a virtual reality world, then me saying these things could be Easter eggs for the people watching in the simulation, right? So they would get it, but to you, it's completely out of order, out of sense, out of sync, not normal.
So you believe in the Easter Bunny?
Oh, same as believing in the globe. What's the difference?
So do you believe in the globe?
I mean, at least we could find it.
I will, as soon as BioDuel produces science. I mean, what's
we
so
can find
hard?
eggs, but we can't find curvature.
Curvature? Well, obviously Ranty's found... Well, he didn't find curvature, he just found... What did he find? He found drop.
Curvature.
No, not actual curvature, is it? Look, I'm ready to be a globe earther right now if any of you guys can produce Cavendish in a vacuum right now. What's the delay?
Bait.
Hmm?
The delay
Hey.
is nobody wants to see you turn into a regular person.
Ah, is that what it
Agreed.
is?
More entertaining like
Oh,
this.
so you're holding it secret. Okay.
Your pretense that you'll turn into a glober is a bait to start a pointless conversation.
Well, the globe earth is pointless because it doesn't offer us anything in reality. So,
Man, you're so boring.
well, I'm not trying to excite you in any kind of way. Nice guy. Do you
I
realize?
mean, you're asking for the attention, man.
No,
He's
we need the
asking for the
attention on the
curvature.
globe that has evidence to support it. Where is it? Nice.
We heard you once. We heard you once. You don't need to repeat it or say it again.
Okay, where's the evidence? Give us a look.
See, that's why Jim doesn't get upset with you, because he knows deep down you're full of shit, and you know that as well.
Well, all we're doing is inquiring about the globe. We know that gas pressure cannot be adjacent to a vacuum, so that goes out the window of your model. We know that the radius is supposed to be 3959, but with the black swan, that radius goes out the window. We know that the Earth is supposed to be turning and moving For every experiment we've tried, we've not been able to manipulate the Earth, like the cause to the effect, so that goes out the window. We have pictures from space, but we know space is not possible without a container, so that goes out the window. So, is there anything else that we have that proves we are on spinning balls flying through space?
You actually convinced me now. Now I'm a flat earther. Thank you, Kimo.
Welcome.
Quite funny because none of you ballers won't go on Nathan, won't go on QEs, you won't go to 24/7, you won't go to Brandon's. You're here right now, Globers.
No one will go to Brandon's. That's a lie.
Some of you go to
I
Brandon's.
would love to go to 24/7. By the way, Kimo, if you can get them to unban me, like I would lovely go there. If you please talk to them, tell them to unban me. Send me the link, and I will go there. Honestly,
I will ask. But
please do
the
so. Thank
idea
you so
is
much.
You guys say, "Oh, Nathan is too abusive. QE's too abusive," and you've got me. Polite, pleasant. Hey guys, how you doing, friends? Do you have any evidence of this spinning ball flying through space? Please, let's take a look at that. And you give me a picture. I get a picture of gas next to a vacuum.
Oh, okay.
It's like you're taking.
I appreciate you being so cordial, Kimo. Thank you.
Yeah, but
It's so nice of you, Kimo.
It's like I'm nice to you, but you're rude to me. You're mocking me by saying, "Look at this gas next to this vacuum." Like that's normal. Like we see that every day.
I apologize on the behalf of all Globers that we mocked you intellectually. You deserve better.
So can you present a real picture then of the Earth?
Absolutely, give me a minute.
Seen a real picture of the Earth.
One with a container, preferably, if there is gas pressure. If there's no gas pressure, then we're good to go.
If you're gonna say that like people are degrading you from asking you questions, then you're doing the same right now.
No, what I mean is like I'll ask, here's a look at the Earth, a picture. Then they show me a ball of gas next to a vacuum or in a vacuum. And I'm like, are you taking the beep beep, you know? And it's like, come on, can you show that in reality where we can have gas and a vacuum coincide in and around one another? Yeah.
Kimo, what's actually the point you're trying to get to? Because you're denying even atmospheric pressure gradient. What's the point? You're the one single person I've ever met to deny atmospheric pressure gradient.
Pressure gradient, but you haven't told me where the pressure comes from.
It doesn't matter. I'm talking about pressure gradient existing, whether it comes from this
Right,
or
that
that.
is delta
That's a secondary
X.
question.
I need delta first, not delta X. So where does the pressure come from first, and then
Do you understand? You have to first acknowledge the existence of something in order to discuss this thing. Do you understand that?
Yeah, but you can't talk about the pressure unless you know where it comes from.
You have to first acknowledge the existence of it.
That doesn't work with God, no.
Oh, just believe in the pressure first. Okay, there's pressure then. Go on, let's do this. I'll beg the question with you.
What about believing in pressure? You have to acknowledge that there is such a thing as pressure
we
gradient.
are living in pressure, atmospheric pressure. Okay, what's causing this atmospheric pressure?
I'm talking specifically about pressure gradient.
Okay, so we have this pressure gradient, okay?
So you're now acknowledging it.
Well, I'm working with you very closely. Yes, so we've got a pressure gradient, yes? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But go on.
The wink, wink, and nudge, nudge, yes.
That's like, yeah, right, not really, but we can work with it, You've got a gradient, yes?
No, answer him fully. He asked you a question.
I'm
Answer him
working with
honestly.
him, yes, we have a gradient. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We have this gradient, yes, okay. Move forward, next part.
That's not acknowledging that there's a query gradient, though.
I can't acknowledge it in reality unless we know where the pressure comes from.
Like I
That
said,
makes complete sense. For example, I cannot acknowledge the existence of the White House if I don't know where the building materials. Like, to me, it doesn't exist because I don't know where the materials came from.
But We can see the White House, but we can't see the pressure, feel the pressure.
I cannot see the White House. What are you lying?
Yes, you can.
I'm in Finland, dude.
Yeah, you can go and see it.
Kimo, you know that you can just take a barometer and go from ground floor to a top floor in a high-rise building. Inside the building, you can see the pressure dropping very fast. Are you actually denying that?
Well, not denying it. Is there any evidence for that?
I mean, do you expect me to personally do this to demonstrate this to you?
Absolutely. It's your claim. It's your wild, outrageous claim.
This is not outrageous. This is scientific status quo. It's not an outrageous claim.
Haven't you agreed with Harley earlier
What?
about the pressure gradient?
Yeah, we're begging the question.
That's not
Yeah,
begging the question.
But you
Oh,
agreed
what is
with
it?
him, so
What
like,
fallacy
why
are
you
you
wanna ask for it?
What's the fallacy that we're doing that we can presuppose it? We can work with it, like, forget all these fallacies.
It's not presupposing if you can take a fucking barometer and raise an elevation and see the pressure dropping. It's not a presupposition then. It's an empirical observation.
Yeah, but like I say, this is density and relative density with the mercury. Is it the mercury one you're talking about?
What is pressure, Kimo?
For goodness sakes.
What is pressure, Kimo?
Right. Being silly now.
It's a real question.
It's not a
It's
real
a very
question.
serious question.
You implied there is pressure. I'm asking you where it comes from.
I want to make sure that we're speaking the same terms.
Well,
what do you think
what
pressure
do you
is?
mean by pressure? You might have
Force
a different
over
definition.
area. Pressure for me is force over area.
Force
Which
over
is
an area.
Yeah, it's related to temperature and all
But
that
what
stuff.
force is this over an area?
We will find out. Now, when Harley was telling you about getting a barometer and getting high in elevation, and he measures lower pressure, he's measuring also lower force over the area of that device.
He's measuring a force. What force?
Again, what is pressure?
Force over an area, you're saying. So I'm asking you, what is that force?
We don't know yet. We'll find out.
Well, skip all that and just get to the force.
No, we need to do it step by step so we don't become logically contradicting each other, okay? So we agree, or maybe I know, that pressure is force over area.
That's what
and when
you're
Harley
saying.
goes up in a mountain, he measures lower pressure.
Okay.
The surface area of the device hasn't changed, so the only component that has changed, or the variable, is force. So we measured that there is less force the more you go up in the atmosphere.
Okay.
Now, what do you think the cause of the force change?
Force? What force?
We measured a force change.
Hmm?
What do you think is causing the force change?
Force? What force are you talking about?
He's playing stupid, come on.
The parameter that Harley used, there is different ways to get the methods to actually measure the atmospheric pressure. But let's say it's measuring different force, where basically it can happens in a different ways. You
Different
can say it's the
forces.
displacements
So,
of a spring.
like magnetism, electricity, are these forces?
We have measured difference in force. I think we need to know what is causing this force and why is it changing.
They
That's
say there
where I
are
agree with you.
four different forces. Which one are you talking about?
It's the air pressure is what we're talking about in
The
this
pressure
case.
force.
It's a pressure.
The air
force.
pressure.
The pressure causes the pressure. The force causes the pressure. The pressure force causes the force pressure.
Air
What do you mean?
air pressure.
Air pressure. Where does that pressure come from? The air.
It's a good question. Where do you think it comes from?
Well, it comes from the gravity pulling the other air down on top of it.
Gravity.
Obviously.
Finally. We take ages to get there nowadays. Goodness.
Yeah, that's what we think it is, and actually we know what it is. But let's say, when we're speaking to you, we will be very humble to say that's what we think it is. What do you think is causing the difference in pressure then, Kimo? What is your cause?
Well, if you remove the water, you remove the pressure.
So
what?
I said,
He's not wrong.
if you remove the water, you remove the pressure.
So Harley,
Water
did
in-
you remove any water when you went high in elevation, please?
No. I was just
So
running.
what happened, Kimo, then? Well, he did not remove any water. Why did the pressure change then?
Oh my goodness.
What, you went up, how high did you go?
Harley did not remove any water. Why did the pressure change?
Where was this?
He went higher in elevation. He was climbing Mount Everest.
Mm-hmm.
He went to a point and he remeasured the barometer and he picked up lower pressure.
Yeah, but where did the pressure come from? Keep on saying pressure.
I thought you
pressure.
said
How can I answer
water.
this unless I know where the force is?
You said water pressure. You said water is causing it to pressure. Harley
Yes,
told you
yes,
that he
yes.
did not do anything with water.
Water.
There were no water and he removed no water.
Where? Where did he go where there was no water?
We told you it's gravity. You told us it's water. We told you there were no water. So
Where
what's
did he
causing
go
the
that
pressure
there
in
was
your
no
world?
water?
I went from ground floor to the top floor of a high-rise building.
Did you take an extractor?
Inside the
Did you take
elevator.
an extractor with you?
I have the barometer inside my smartwatch.
I know,
The
but did you
overarching
take an
idea is
extractor
you
to
need-
see if there was
still
any
need
water?
A container to have pressure and to have a pressure gradient. You need pressure, so you need the container first.
Okay, we can take this hypothesis of a container. So you're saying that in a container there's a pressure gradient, right?
No, let's get back to your claim of pressure. Where does the pressure come from? If you remove the water, you've got no pressure. Now, what's your force?
First of all, do you agree that there is something as pressure?
Water.
Sorry?
Only water.
What about water?
That's the pressure.
That's water pressure.
Can you explain a bit more?
In the atmosphere, there is water, and then that's what we extract from a dehumidifier. And you remove the water, you remove the pressure.
Where have you demonstrated that, Kimo?
What, when?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
So you're saying, okay, well, yeah, it's possible, yeah, there's less water. So why water is causing pressure
Nice
then?
guy.
Because there's water above, water below, and then like less water in between. You know?
Hey, I'll make a deal with you guys. I'll stay out of it if you keep on on this point.
What point? I've debunked you all.
Where have you demonstrated this, Kimo?
There is no atmospheric pressure. There's only water.
Demonstration, Kimo. Demonstration.
What demonstration?
Take it to him.
It's been demonstrated.
Take it to him.
Been demonstrated. We've got people at 40,000 feet breathing just fine.
Kimo, I've personally been to 13,000 feet. And
13?
actually...
You're chasing.
13. Yeah, my point being... You can
Dakotas, you're
feel-
chasing. You're chasing, dude. This is destructive to the point of attack at the moment. Kimo made a claim, and he needs to demonstrate that claim. He needs to validate it.
Anyway, so you went to
You
how many
on board,
feet?
Dakota?
13,000 feet?
1 second, Curve. It was Hurley, not Dakotas. I'm not engaged in this discussion. Sorry, Curve.
No, let him think it's you.
It was Hurley.
So Kimo, so there's water above.
Water above, water below, and in between, just like you might call it
Okay.
gaseous water.
So is it special water? Is there special properties?
It wasn't
of this
delivered
water?
like special delivery or anything. What do you mean special?
So there's no special properties about the water.
You ever had a dehumidifier?
No, I'm talking about the water above. Are you saying that it's special water or is it just regular water?
Yeah. I don't know what kind of water.
Okay, you don't know what kind of water it is.
I don't know what type of water, no.
Fair enough.
Okay.
And
Do you
also-
know? Sorry,
Sorry,
you go.
I'm just going to add one thing. let's not forget that the dry air is actually heavier than humid air, which means that pressure should be higher when you remove water vapor.
Okay.
So what I was getting at is that when you put here on Earth, when we put water in like an infrared spectrometer, it gives certain hydrogen bonding signals that you receive on the spectrum. But when we aim a spectrometer at the sky, an infrared spectrometer, we don't get those signals from this special water above. So kind of inconsistent there with what we observe here on Earth in reality. Just saying.
Could you demonstrate that?
Kimo will do anything to avoid his burden to
Yeah, that's just
demonstrate
another
his
tactic.
claim.
We're on Discord, Kimo. How would you like me to demonstrate it? You're
Go
free
ahead.
to contact me. You can
Concern
come to our
yourself
lab.
with
You
how
can
to
run
help
it.
Kimo distract from the fucking point. Yeah, that's right, Kimo. I'm sorry, Kimo. You're trying to train autards, and so am I.
This is very disrespectful, Kimo. Stop it.
Stop what? We're having a
It's
discussion.
just really dishonest.
Kimo, demonstrate water being the cause of the pressure.
He's arguing. Be quiet.
So look, Jace, very, very simple thing that we've got here is the atmosphere is filled with evaporated water. Now, obviously, you call that gas, but obviously, gas needs a container to be pressurized. Gas pressure. I don't know if you know this or not. So, without a container, conspiracy cats, there is no pressure. You see. So all that evaporated water is not pressurized. You understand?
That's not the point.
Hey, you're going away from the point that I was trying
Of
to get to.
course he's going away from the point.
Because the point is, I was talking about going from ground floor, let's say, to 10th floor in a high-rise building, and you can see the pressure dropping.
Yeah. No, you can't, because like I said, in order for that to be true, you need to isolate the temperature to show it's not a temperature variant, and it's just pressure. That means it's just the force of gravity. Now, obviously, you can't demonstrate that.
I'm not talking about gravity. Gravity has got nothing to do with at this point right now. We're just talking about,
but you can't have
whether there's a pressure gradient or not.
Yeah, but
in a high-rise building, you would expect the temperature and like the internal environment to be roughly the same on all floors.
No, again, the temperature is what you need to isolate to show that just pressure is what's giving the effect, right?
Kimo, you do realize that temperature has an effect on pressure only in enclosed containers.
In a container, yes, that's right.
Yeah, do you think a high-rise building is a fucking container?
A building, so what? It's not a container.
Hermetically sealed container.
It doesn't need to be. It just needs walls, dude. Walls of a container.
No, but it's not a pressure vessel then.
You don't need that. It just needs the walls.
So why are you bringing this up then? Because you know that the temperature only affects the pressure in a enclosed container, like a pressure vessel.
And you're inside a building, like all the windows open.
Open, closed. You know that each and every building has some kind of ventilation going on.
You're just grasping at straws, Arlie. Come on.
No, you are.
In a building, up and down, temperature the same, controlled, not controlled, pressure, not.
Temperature has no effect if the atmosphere can move in and out of the building.
Look, right, when I say something like this, it's very difficult to debunk me because I think about these things before I put them forward. I'm not like a glober who just says what we've been told.
No, you don't. No, you don't, because you're trying to equivocate the building with a container, like a freaking gas tank or something.
All I'm
that's
saying
closed.
is that you're saying there's pressure. Demonstrate the atmospheric pressure. Show where the force comes from and apply that press.
We
Not
can
difficult.
discuss this after you acknowledge that there's a pressure gradient that exists and it doesn't depend on the freaking temperature.
There is no pressure gradient. Where does the pressure come from?
Jesus. I'm not gonna let you get away from this.
Me? How you're trying to get away from what causes the pressure in the ground? I can't just accept a pressure gradient.
I'm talking about pressure gradient. Is there a pressure gradient that exists everywhere?
No, there is not a gradient.
So why when he holds the barometer and he goes
lost
up
me,
in
Kimo.
elevation, it changes?
It gets colder the higher you go.
What's that
Okay,
got
what
to
if
do
he
with
maintains the
pressure?
temperature of the barometer? It still change.
You might have hooked me back on, Kimo.
Back on what?
The no pressure, because
What?
it gets colder.
What you can? Where does the pressure come from then?
I don't know.
What, gravity?
What effect should cold have on the pressure?
Does it come from gravity? Does it come from the container?
Come on, what's the relationship between pressure and
See,
temperature?
none of you
on
can
our-
answer this. You just
in
want
our-
me to accept there's pressure without a cause. No, thank
No,
you.
no, we are not talking about cause at all right now.
Well, I'm
We're
not
just
going to
trying
your magical
describe what we
world unless
see
you
and
tell
the
me the
experience
cause.
around us.
We know about gas pressure. It needs a container.
No, you're mixing up two things: gas pressure and atmospheric pressure. These are two different things.
Okay. So what is
Okay,
atmosphere?
let's say there's let's hypothetically say there's a container.
Mm-hmm.
In a container, the pressure should exert internal. Basically, you should exert in the how to say it, equal force towards all walls of the container, up, down, left, right. But how could you have for example? Well, okay, let's go different route. What's causing winds?
In the sun.
Yeah, what's causing winds?
The sun.
High pressure and low pressure systems.
I'm asking Kimo though.
The sun.
The what?
Sun.
What?
Come on, man.
Google it.
What about the sun?
Google it. Google it, guys. You guys heard him? Google it.
Well, maybe he's saying the sun because the sun creates a heat, like a hot system.
Just Google it. Just
How
Google
do you
it.
know the
Just
sun
Google
is
it.
creating heat, my dude?
Because when you go outside, it burns your skin.
Just
And
Google
how
it.
do you know it's because of the sun?
Because
not the heat
when
that's burning your skin, by the way.
Because when it's night, it's because of ultraviolet light. But when it's
Yeah,
night,
but it has nothing to do
the
with the
sun
heat.
is not there.
Yeah, and how can you make sure that it's the sun? Did you exclude
Because
all other variables?
because the correlation is the causation.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Bon Jovi, how do you know?
The correlation is the causation. You should write that down.
Kimo, can you demonstrate that, for example, when temperature drops, the air pressure drops as well?
Air pressure. Where does the pressure come from?
It's not what I said.
I mean, temperature and air pressure are kind of sometimes tied to each other, but
Yeah, but not always. You could actually have a night
Yeah.
where temperature is increasing, but the pressure is actually dropping.
Well, Kimo
at the same
doesn't
time.
believe that there is pressure, so that's the
Yeah,
whole
we're trying to
problem.
figure out what causes the pressure.
You can't figure it out first if you don't understand what you're talking about and what you're trying to figure out. You have to first understand what pressure is.
Well, we
What's the
know
difference
with
between
gas
gas pressure and atmospheric pressure and pressure,
okay,
and
fine,
only then.
Fine. So we know with gas pressure, it requires a container. With
Yeah,
atmospheric
can you have
pressure,
a wind inside a container? Can you have winds inside container given that there should be equal amount of pressure, for example, in the bottom of the container, inside the gas pressure container? Can
we
you have
live in a
winds there?
dynamic system.
it's called
Yeah.
begging the
So-
question.
So apparently, at 120,000 meters altitude, the temperature is way higher than at the surface, but yet the pressure is way, way lower at the surface.
Mhm.
So if you have at high altitude a temperature that is so high, higher than the surface, but still for some reason the pressure at that level, at that high altitude, is way, way lower than the surface.
Yeah,
So, Kimo, what do you think then, since we now made sure that cold and heat does not really play anything when it comes to the pressure of the atmosphere.
You're forgetting that he's denying that there's lower pressure at the altitude.
He didn't
Not
do
denying
that.
it. I'm asking you, where does the pressure come from?
I mean, at the
Kimo.
Harley, at the end, Harley, keep in mind that Kimo is not really listening to you or to me or to anybody. He's just like fucking around. So you need to fuck with him around as well. Just keep that in mind.
Kimo,
Well,
you just
again, I'm not
acknowledged that there's
denying-
a lower pressure at the altitude. Did you
Keep on
just
saying
acknowledge
lower
that?
pressure. Where does that pressure come from?
Kimo, did you acknowledge that there's a lower pressure at the altitude?
No.
You just said. Come on.
You said what?
He didn't.
Kimo, this is an easy example, okay? Now, I come to you, I punch you in the face. What happens to your face? This is an example where I apply tremendous amount of pressure to deflect from your face.
We know the
Now,
cause.
is that pressure real or is that pressure
We
fake?
know the cause of that.
Okay, good. But the
What
pressure,
the
is it
cause
real
of
or is
this
it fake?
pressure? What is the cause of this pressure?
I punch your face so hard that I make a hole in it. Is the
Uh-huh.
pressure real or is it fake?
We know the cause.
Is that pressure?
I'm only interested in the cause.
Is that pressure?
Yes, and we know the cause
The
of that
surface
pressure.
area of my fist is around maybe like 5 centimeters square. I'm not quite sure about the exact. It's an estimate. I hit your face so hard that I, ripped some meat out, some teeth out. Did I apply pressure to your face or no?
Yes, you did.
So now we know that pressure is force over area. The area was my hand surface and the target of your face, which would be between your jaw and your nose.
What
Very
was the
sad indeed.
force? What was the force?
I deformed your face now, and I made you a disabled person after I punched your face. So now that we know that pressure is a real thing, we can look at the atmosphere, how it changes the pressure when we go up in elevation. So we look at it up. We have a barometer. How does a barometer works? We have a mercury in that device where it gets displaced dependent on how much pressure is being applied by the atmosphere. It's very simple. So if I pressure your face so hard, I tilt your face harder. That means there is higher pressure. I touch your face very gently. That means there is a very low pressure I have applied. Very simple, the same principles, very easy to understand. So I'm pretty sure you don't need to really be punched in the face to actually understand that pressure is a real thing. Now then we can talk about what is causing this pressure. Right, Kimo?
Well, you caused.
I hope you took the analogy very well.
You caused this pressure, right?
I don't call it pressure, it is pressure.
You caused this pressure.
Yes, I did.
So we know the cause to this effect.
But regardless, let's say I put you to sleep, I blind your eyes, and I punch your face so hard, you wake up in the next morning missing half of your jaw. Now you wonder what happened to your jaw. Do you think you got cancer or something happened immediately in one day? Or do you think you got punched in the face very hard? Which one do you think happened?
I would ask, where did the pressure come from?
Where did the pressure comes from? So you see, you already know there's already pressure happened without already knowing what caused the pressure. So now we can actually move forward since we know that pressure is a real thing. What causes this pressure? Because we don't need to know the cause of the pressure to actually see the effect of the pressure.
Carry on.
No, I think I proved pressure to you now and pressure gradient.
Yeah, but where does that pressure come from? Who's punching?
I would tell you it's from gravity.
Who's punching the atmosphere like you're doing so?
Hold on, do you think the atmosphere is punching you?
No, I'm asking you, who is punching the atmosphere from above to give high and low pressure?
Wait, so hold on a minute. So, wait, you saying that there's someone punching the atmosphere?
That's what you said. You punch me, you get pressure.
I said I was punching your face. I wasn't saying I was punching the atmosphere.
You gave an analogy. Said it's like you punching my face. So we know
Analogy
that
of
you
pressure,
caused
yes.
this pressure. So obviously now, someone is punching the atmosphere from above and causing the high and low pressure here on the Earth.
Okay, okay. I will give you a different analogy.
Okay.
So I kick you in the balls, I make you lay down on the ground. Then I come and I sit on your head, and I stay there.
So who's kicking the atmosphere? Who's sitting on the atmosphere? He'll play this game all day. Wake the fuck up, nice guy.
Man, it doesn't matter. Just it's funny, man.
Not really, nice guy.
I mean, if you're asking me who's sitting on the atmosphere, I would say Jesus Christ sitting in the atmosphere.
Fair enough.
Nobody's asking you that right now.
So, you know, yet again...
Painful to listen to you interact with them this way.
Look, we just... Again, it's the ego curve. They can't help it. They just can't... They want to be better than a flat earther. In every way.
I can help him help it.
So it's not just him. It's not his fault. It's the environment that he was brought up in. Everybody wants to be better than a flat earther. We see it. Look at Boy spending money. Come on, Curve. Think about that. Who's going to spend money on a Cavendish that's already supposed to have been done? It's insane.
Check his rolls. Is he complete on guard? Yes or no?
Ooh, nice guy.
Biodual.
Bio. Oh, I don't know. He's not here now, is he? But think about that.
He's probably got the complete auto.
You know, look, we've been doing this for years now, and not one of yous have said, "Oh yeah, I'll do that. I'll get that done for you." Then Bio comes along. Oh yeah, I'll get that done.
We've
done experiments though.
Lots of people have said that to you, Kimo.
Kimo, by the way, are you denying that whenever you go high in the atmosphere, the air doesn't get
What's going on? Got any evidence of a globe?
No, you're taking time away from nice guy. He needs to get it out. He needs to be part of this.
I mean, you want to also be part of it, Kurt, since you're talking as well.
But we're all a part of the.
Let's give Kurt some attention.
The great reveal.
Trying to have an effect on your part in it.
Okay.
I'd be content to listen to somebody a little bit more reasonable talk to Kimo. But you're thick as a brick. You're so slow. He had to explain to you about the punching the atmosphere thing. I don't understand what your problem is.
I understand. I don't honestly understand your problem as well. Like, do you want to play this game?
Anyway,
you know, fuck
you were
other
talking
clovers
to
and
Brenda.
so on. You want that jab
Kimo,
and
you
lead,
asked
yeah?
Brenda.
Well, I don't know if Brendan wants to talk about anything in particular.
I was briefly not listening. What? I heard my name. What?
We're just talking in general about, you know, evidence for the globe and such like. Very hard to come by these days.
That's not true.
Well, what evidence is there then that we're on a globe?
Photographs.
Yeah, but those photographs are a picture of a ball of gas in a vacuum.
I didn't hear a question in there.
I know. I mean, look, we've got you pretty much. I don't know. I mean, goodness me.
Photographs, videos from the ISS, ships going over the curve, measurements of the curve, measurements of the circumference, trips to the moon, and photographs from the moon of the Earth, trips to Mars, photographs of Mars, of the Earth from Mars, photographs of the Earth from Saturn.
That's quite a compilation.
Yeah.
Quite the deviation as well.
It's a shame though, Brenda, all of that is non-verifiable. Not one bit.
It is actually. Do you know that recently some guys actually were able to tap into SpaceX's private stream coming down from second stage of Falcon 9, and they were able to see video feeds that weren't shown on live stream.
Yeah,
they could see inside the oxygen tank and so on.
When was that?
You got a link for that? I'd love to see. I'd love to see that. You got a link?
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
absolutely
Give me
love
one
to
second.
see that.
Give me one
When did
second.
that happen?
A couple of months ago.
Oh.
There's a site where guys have been tracking stuff since beginning of 2000.
Sounds promising. Give us a look at that.
Well, there are also, Kimo, videos from liftoff to orbit. One continuous video.
Brenda,
I just pasted the link.
You've been lied to. Okay? You've been told a story, and now you're telling me that story. Okay? So, if the Earth was a ball with a radius of 3959, then the horizon would be no more than 1.25. Okay? But what we find that the apparent horizon moves and fluctuates from 1 mile all the way to 10 miles and beyond. Now, there's no way, Brenda, that anyone can locate and pinpoint the physical geometric horizon and say that is where it is from this observer, and that is where it will always be. And that's part of the problem. We've not been able to find the physical drop of anywhere. We have lots of optical illusions that appear like the Earth is curving down.
Ranty found the drop. Thanks, Ranty.
Yes. The problem with Ranty's image is if we look at the elevation profile, okay, we can see that there is 0 drop.
Why would there be drop on a profile?
Because it's looking at the land, the layer of the land.
Do you know what an elevation profile is?
Yes, giving us say a side-on view or a view of the.
No, that is not correct. You don't know what an elevation profile is, do you?
That is correct, Brenda.
No, you're wrong.
That is correct.
No, you're wrong. Let me explain it to you. Let me explain it to you.
Well, go on
An elevation profile shows you the variation from a given point, from a given height. So the given height might be sea level, and then all the other lines in there show deviation from sea level.
Yeah.
It doesn't purport to give you a side-on view of the Earth. That's not what it's saying.
No, I didn't say of the Earth. I'm saying of the land we're looking at. So we
It's not doing that. It's not doing that. It's not doing that. It's not giving you a side-on view of the land.
No, it's giving us a profile of the land.
The profile is deviation from sea level.
Yeah, so we're getting. That's what I said. We're getting a detailed look of the land, see if there is any elevation changes. And what we find, there is no elevation changes.
What is elevation? What does that mean?
So you have sea level. Yes. You've got your horizontal sea level.
What elevation is sea level?
Sea level. So at sea, that's the level that we go by.
What? The elevation of sea level is sea?
The sea level, we start from sea level 0.
Yeah. Okay, 0. So on the ball Earth, sea level in, say, the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean, the Arctic Ocean, the Antarctic Oceans, it's all 0. And yet the Earth is still a ball. Do you understand this?
No, because we get to prove that the Earth.
No, because you can't think in volumes and 3D.
No,
that's why.
No, what we do.
That's correct. You can't.
What we've got is the land that is horizontal, and the elevation from the sea, and there's no drop from that horizontal. You see,
elevation doesn't show changes in sea level. It shows sea level as being 0. Sea level is 0 everywhere. Sea level is 0 everywhere on Earth, on the sea.
That's correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct.
So it would be a straight line.
Okay, that's right.
Even though what we're talking about is a ball.
No. A
Yes,
straight line.
yes, that's how it works.
Not a
That's how it works.
Not a curved line, a straight line.
Yes, it'd be a straight line.
Straight line.
Let's imagine that the Earth had no continents. It was all just one ball of water, and we produce a elevation profile for that ball of water. It would be a straight line.
Our ball would be a curved line, Brenda.
No, it would be a straight line.
No, that would be a curved line, Lemon.
No, it wouldn't, Kimo. It would be a straight line because what we're showing is elevation.
Yeah, and on that straight line, there is no drop from the horizontal on that straight line.
Yeah, this is just your cognitive issues, right? And I don't think I can change anything, so I'm done.
Thanks for playing.
Right, but just
So
to
we
be
gotta
sure.
get- So now Kimo's name is the 2D guy because he can't think 3D.
I think that's true for quite a lot of flat earthers. They really cannot just. I bet if I went to a lot of flat earthers and said, imagine the Earth is a ball of water, and I produce an elevation profile for it, and that would be a straight line, they would all laugh. They would all disbelieve me because none of them are capable of imagining it.
So we deal with the real world.
You could do an elevation profile of a cue ball, and it would still be a straight line.
Yeah, but from the observer to the mountains, there's no drop. It's a straight
On a
line.
cue ball, there's texture. You could actually do an elevation profile of a cue ball, and the elevation profile will read from the lowest point of the cue ball to the highest point of the cue ball, but it'll still be a straight line for the circular ball because it's only measuring the difference.
Yeah, but what we're talking about is this observation from Ranty. And
You're talking about an elevation profile, and that's what I'm talking about. An elevation profile only shows the difference.
I think a cue ball is a good example. That's a great example.
but how will we know if the area is sloping? Google will give us that elevation profile.
That's what surveys do.
Yeah. So like that straight road in Canada, it told us it was sloping, not curving. And on Ranty's picture, the elevation profile showed us that it was straight, not dropping.
What does that get you? What does that prove?
A flat earth.
No, it doesn't.
Wow, what's the proof of the globe? What do you have?
Here we go again. Just like Curved prophesized.
Well, that's what we're looking for. Evidence that the earth is not a flat earth.
You're so right, Curved, man. I need to take your wisdom every time I break your heart and I disappoint you, man. I can't handle it, man. Kimo has a very unique magnet. He attracts people like me, you know what I mean? He's asking for a ridiculous type of discussion. Kimo, please come on. Let's have a discussion other than Ball Earth. What do you think?
Explain how water, large bodies of water, can curve around the exterior of an object. How does that happen?
If you prove me that you can think in 3D, I will talk to you.
No, let's talk about this water sticking to the ball. How does that happen?
I'm sorry, I don't talk to people who only think in 2D, sorry.
Let's presuppose we're on a spinning ball. The next question is...
Can you imagine a ball?
Well, let's just presuppose. And we need to know why the water sticks to that ball.
What's the definition of a ball?
A ball?
Yeah.
Definition of a ball is a 3D spherical object.
Okay, what's the definition of a 3D spherical object?
Your head.
See, you don't know, man. You don't know how 3D objects are.
Who knows these days?
Well, it's pretty sure that you don't know.
I don't know, you don't know. Nobody knows anything these days, do they?
I can give you the exact definition of a ball and a circle, but apparently you don't know.
Yeah, but definitions don't prove things, do they?
Definitions are the requirement of conceptualization. If you can't give a definition, you can't conceptualize it.
Yeah, but we want to conceptualize things that are not real.
Well, you're presupposing things and you're imagining a ball. Unless you know how to imagine a ball, we need to know if you're actually imagining the same ball I'm imagining. So unless we can't know which ball actually is the ball, we can't really talk about it. I'm sorry.
I think you're sleepwalking again. Wake up. Wake up.
You can't give me what a ball is. You're the one who's need to wake up.
You're sleepwalking, nice guy. Wake up.
What is a ball?
Wakey,
Go ahead and
wakey.
answer this one, smart ass.
Throw some cold water on your face. You're sleepwalking.
Good, good.
Let me know when you've done it.
I've done it.
Okay, so what we're looking for is an explanation of how the water sticks to a ball.
Oh yeah? What do you mean by ball?
Like a football. You ever played football?
You're telling me that the Earth is like a football?
Some say a basketball or a beach ball.
Oh really? Do you think so?
No, silly. That's what we're asking you. How does water stick to a basketball or a beach ball?
Is the Earth a basketball?
Yes.
Can you prove it?
It's full of hot air like your head.
Okay then. Once you prove to me that the Earth is like a basketball, we can talk.
I can't. There's no evidence for that basketball.
Yeah, we don't live on a basketball, my dude. Wake up.
What do we live
Put
on?
some cold water on your face. Go wash your face with some cold water.
What do we live on then?
We live on a planet Earth.
Wake up, stop dreaming. Where's your evidence of a planet Earth? Crickets. See? You're not mature enough to handle the science, Knife Guy. Go and do a
Hey, Kimo.
demonstration.
Hey, Kimo, I was just wondering, are you going on the Ballbusters show tonight to tell them about Slopey Earth? Or was that always just something that you guys talked about in the, behind the scenes?
At Slopey Earth?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it was being held back for a certain reason, sort of like held back to just bring out in the most dire of needs. And that's why you were the one to bring it up, yeah?
Slopey Earth is in the Far East.
The Far East of what? I thought you was using Slopey Earth for the Blackpool observation, right?
No, I was talking about the Far East.
No, I'm pretty sure you were talking about the Blackpool observation.
Oh, the Blackpool observation. How that works. I was giving the answer today to Jem. How it works on a flat Earth.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it was because of Slopey Earth, right?
No, Slopey Earth is in the Far East.
So, I know that you were waiting to bring this out in the most dire of needs, right?
No, we've already explained this. I've told you. What we have is an observed phenomenon on a flat Earth. You asked the question, how does this work on a flat Earth? That's the question. So, the only way to answer this observed phenomena is with an independent variable, as you well know. And our independent variable is the lensing, causing things to pull down. Now, as you well know, we have to manipulate that variable in the laboratory and have things pulled down in the distance on a flat surface to show how this works on a flat Earth. That's your real answer, and we can demonstrate that.
So it had nothing to do with the water running up the slope, then?
That was in the Far East.
So what's happening with Blackpool then? What's happening there?
I'm going to post a video for you. So this has been demonstrated. I showed Jem this morning how this works on a flat Earth. Because remember, you asked the question, how does this work on a flat Earth? So all we have to do is look at this observation on a flat surface and replicate this in the laboratory, of course, and just repeat what we've seen. Let me get this video. Sorry it takes us a long time. I'll do a bit of few clicks here. But yeah, I mean, that's slopey Earth. It's that's there in the Far East. No.
Who told you to remove that from the Blackpool observation? Because yesterday you were quite adamant, that it was slopey Earth that was the cause of that.
Slopey Earth, that's in the Far East. Again, here's the video of how your experiment...
What the fuck is slopey Earth?
No, this is how the experiment works on a flat Earth. So you take a lens, it's atmospheric lensing, and that causes a drop of objects in the distance. Okay? And we can replicate that with a magnifying glass, which is the lens, which is also liquid. We know that liquid is glass before it hardens, we know that. And then it obviously forms a magnifying glass. And obviously we can replicate in the laboratory with this experiment I've just posted here in the chat here. How to make things lower or dip or drop in the distance.
So, back to yesterday though. You were talking about how, on flat Earth you live on a slope, and that Blackpool is clearly on one of those slopes, and that the water that should be filling up the mountainous area in the background is running up the slope.
No, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. No way. That's in the Far East, that is.
Oh, right. Okay. So you wouldn't like me to post a video of that then?
Yeah, I was talking about the Far East.
Because I actually clipped the video out.
Did you get all of it? The context?
I did actually. I did, and I got it in context too.
Fantastic.
Ooh, who got you, Kimo? Right-handed.
Fantastic.
Right hands are under.
Fantastic.
You fucking liar, we caught you. You wanted to switch, huh? You want to switch places, huh?
There you go. I've just posted it there. It's 1 minute and 2 seconds long. It's it's very in context, and it's very clear what you said.
Oh yeah, like I said, that's to do with the Far East. Slope.
Oh,
said the Far East.
Don't try to excuse it now. Come on.
But yeah, I mean, to answer how this works on a flat Earth, yeah, it's definitely...
No. I think you should listen back to that first.
Oh,
because,
I remember what I was saying. I remember we were talking about it yesterday.
You don't.
That was to do with the Far East.
No, that was to do with Blackpool. Now, let me just ask one other question. So, did Quantum Eraser tell you to retract that because he didn't want that coming out just yet and was going to save it for another time?
What coming out?
Slopey Earth, for another time. Yeah, you need book of tricks, right? Yeah, you need your book of tricks, right? And this is just one of the tricks that was left, on the shelf, so to speak. I mean, you've used up like 112 different tricks, and I think there's only about 6 left. And this was one of them. This slopey Earth thing was one of the major, things that you were holding back. So I'm just wondering if Quantum Eraser told you to hold off on actually using that excuse right now. And that's why you're sort of distancing yourself from it now?
No, magnification is the cause of your Blackpool Tower thing. Lensing. We can replicate that in the laboratory easily.
So, no, we can't.
Yes, we can.
Slopey Earth is going...
a demonstration in the chat there.
So let me just get this right. Slopey Earth is going back in the box of tricks to be used at another time down the line. Is that right?
Unless that's in the Far West. This slopey Earth was in the Far East.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the big deal?
No, I'm just getting it in my head because I thought that slopey Earth was only to be used under the most dire of circumstances. It's like hitting the nuke button. You can't turn back once you've released it. But it seemed like you'd hit the nuke button yesterday, and somehow you've retracted the nukes. So. I mean, that's what I was thinking, because obviously Flat Earth only has one route to go, and that is the slopey Earth Flat Earth thing. So, slopey Flat Earth, and, you were saving that for the most dire of times, and I thought you'd just pulled that card out of your rabbit hole yesterday, and but now you've put it back in the box, yeah?
Well, no, I've said this, I can say it today, the slopey Earth is for the Far East. Same as today. Same as yesterday is today.
So I'm just having fun, mate. That's all good. By the way, how's Quantum Eraser's little what is it, dislike bomb going? We're at -67 on his stream. Do you reckon we could get it to a -100 before he goes live? Do you think that would trigger him? Come on, he's on -67. If I put the link in, do you reckon we could get it to a -100 before he goes live? I think it would be hilarious if we could. I'm going to post the link. Right, there we go. It's all fun and games. It's all fun and games.
Of course.
Well, no, it's not. Apparently, it's not.
Is it not fun? Is it not fun? I want to see Quantum Eraser triggered. I think he will be very triggered if he gets to a -100 dislikes before his stream even starts. He still has to apologise for the last show. I mean, let's be honest. What he did there, that half of that show, when he's saying that somebody else was being coached, and it was Witsit being coached. I mean, the guy needs to fall on his sword tonight. I'm sorry, but he really does. And if he doesn't, well, you know, the 100 dislikes are definitely worth it. You know, he needs to be known that he's fucked up. It's so quiet. Everyone's run over to go and dislike that, haven't they? I can tell. Right, let me check. Oh shit! Yeah, -72 now. We're so close.
Well, I remember talking to Wits at that time, but I think I was in the woods kind of high, so I don't know.
Somebody's hot micing. Brian.
Is it me? Oh, all the race cars are being parked.
The mic is very hot. But yeah, I mean, you know, got an explanation for just about any observation that we find here on the flat Earth. We remember Soundly tried to pull a trick with a bendy Earth. That was a laugh. That was.
What was the trick?
I've never seen a baller so debunked. Like he had at least 2 or 3 pages of being debunked.
Remind me, what was the trick? What did he do?
Oh, it's just positioning, you know, taking advantage of the atmosphere, get the right location, the right angle, you know. I mean, we've had people go down there, and Awake Souls, for example, went down there, did a full scope on there, completely flat, completely level, completely horizontal, and
his pictures were bad.
Yeah, Awake Souls.
I couldn't even see. I couldn't even see the end of the picture on Awake Souls picture.
Yeah, so like he took a drone all around it, different angles, different positions. Lo and behold, Soundly was caught out left, right, centre, all over the place. And that's pretty much what we do. We investigate the truth. And anyone who brings an observation that looks peculiar on a flat Earth, rest assured, we're going to look at that and absolutely replicate that. Because obviously we understand how the atmosphere works. Obviously we understand how light, not completely, but in order to replicate what we see in nature, we're able to do that. So, you know, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to provide an image or an observation that the Flat Earth members, yes, all over the plane, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to be able to provide us with something that we cannot debunk. So, like I say, Ranty, no disrespect, but from Ranty to Soundly, who else has tried it? From Red Rhetorics to what's his face? The Tim Osmond guy. From the Tim Osmonds, all of these guys have attempted to show the Earth is curved, and we get on the case almost immediately. In fact, we don't mess around. It's like the minute you release your image, again, not just you, Ranty, but Soundly, bang, same. It's like the minute we're on it, straight away. That's how it's done. Bang, Red Redfix, whatever he provides, bang, what's his face, Tim Osmond, bang, Red Salt Flats, bang, we can repeat that straight away, no problems. Ranty comes
So why
along.
haven't you done it with this? Why haven't you done it with this observation that I've brought to the table? Why has it gone silent? Why is nobody talking about it? Why are they just sweeping it under the carpet?
Because this
Because it's nothing new.
Everyone's
This is nothing new, Ranty. This is
Everyone's
old,
looked at
like-
my experiment that I provided to the community, and all the flat earthers have seen this now, and they're like, "Oh, we've seen this before. All it is something lower in the distance." Do the flat earthers have an experiment in the locker to pull out to show what we're seeing? And again, lo and behold, yes, we do. We've got what's his face, Bearded Dragon, showed us an observation. Brandon has showed us with the garage. We've got
Skiba.
We've got Travis. We've got
never
Ranty, who showed us with the paint cans, with the medium, that how the paint cans can go
Ranty.
lower in the background. We've got all the top boys on it, on the case, okay, figuring out the world around us. And
You are the guy that showed us this, Ranty.
Sorry, Jeremy, go ahead. Sorry, just get a little bit
No, I'm just
excited
saying,
there.
you're
Sorry.
You're arguing with Ranty's the guy that showed us this could happen.
Of
I mean,
course,
what the fuck,
Ranty taught me. We spent hours looking at this. I can't take this. This is just incredible. We had hours, shouting at me. No, this is what it's like. It's sinking. I've had to really learn and study and understand, what's going on. Ranty schooled me on how things drop in the distance, and we went through the cans, and like I say, any observation out there will be replicated by flat earthers. All of us. All the flat earthers here. Ranty, me, Jeremy, Brian. Who else is the list? We've all replicated things disappearing in the distance. Rachel, she's even done something as I scroll on the list. Rachel's even on it. So, like I say, there's nothing anyone really can do to show the flat earther that we can't replicate scientifically, measure, all that kind of stuff. We can do all of that. So bring it on, globe earthers. Give us an observation that shows us we can't show you how it works on a flat earth, and we can show you straight away. Oh, yeah.
That's how it used to be. That's how you're like nostalgia. That's how your nostalgia makes you think about stuff, but that's not how it is.
What's not how it is?
What you just said.
Everyone's come at us with an observation
Mm-hmm.
That says this is curvature or drop. I mean, Zanuck has been showing Ranty's image all year long, with the mountain lower in the background, supposed to be higher. You guys put it down to curvature, drop, whatever. Been debunked, been replicated. What do we need to do? That's why, Ranty, I mean, I've been encouraging, if you notice, I've been encouraging people to debate you. As like with Witsit, get on it. I'm like asking, does Jeremy want it, Brian want it, anyone who wants it, have a go. But they're not going to give you mathematics because I think that's bogus, because the sun is not 93 million miles away. Whoever calculated that nonsense needs to be, put in place. And things like that. So, you've got to come with a practical, physical measurement of whatever the case may be. So, that's pretty much why. Jamie, why do you think no one's debating this? Or Brian, what do you think?
This is just old shit. No one wants to debate just one single observation. We've already ran through it all. Ranty killed half of the observations the Globers come with anyway. So I mean, this is nothing new. Like, if that's all there is to debate, there's nothing really to even talk about.
I mean, Brandon was saying it last night, wasn't he? Like, I mean, how long are we going to talk about it? Like, again, no, it's disrespect, Ranty. It's just like we've got to talk about it because you're here, obviously, but we just got to talk about it. So, you know, not you, but just the image. It doesn't matter who brings the image. You know what I mean? So, yeah, they were like, well, how long are we going to look at this image and, like, talk? I mean, I think, Ranty, because you're not making a claim about anything, you're just saying, how does this work on a flat earth? It's kind of like, well, I don't know what you want. You want a model? You know, we don't have models.
Kimo, anyone that can sit there and tell you that they know what's happening between you and Blackpool or you and the mountain, for certain, is just, they're either highly confused or they're lying. I'm not saying anyone's lying on purpose. I'm just saying you can't prove what's happening between you and Blackpool and you and the mountain. Like, there's
right.
I don't understand.
Same. I also have a hard time and difficulties to actually understand what's actually going on. I just heard Kimo saying that he understands how the atmosphere works, and I don't know, like, do you really understand how the atmosphere works, Kimo?
Sorry?
Do you understand how the atmosphere works?
Yeah, it acts like a lens. That's what we know.
Is that everything?
The globers, when the globers go to replicate how the atmosphere works, they'll use a lens. But then if we try to do it, then no, the atmosphere doesn't work. Like, remember that when we saw Chicago skyline, and the guy said, "Oh, it's just a mirage." Well, he retracted that and later had a specialist on. I forgot the guy's name, but he used a lens to replicate how the atmosphere was. So, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, that sounds like they actually acknowledged how the atmosphere was.
Yes, and then we try to use a lens, and you guys say, no, the atmosphere is not a lens like that.
Who said that? Nobody said that.
Well, Kimo, tell them about the lens, and let's hear all the responses about how the atmosphere is not a lens like that.
What, the atmosphere acting like a lens?
What type of lens?
What do you mean, what type of lens? Brian's trying to say something. Up your mic, Brian.
No, I'm not. It's. Hold on, I'll mute from.
Oh, yeah.
Don't mute yourself. We can't hear you now.
What type of lens? All lenses are liquid before they're lenses, duh. What do you mean, what type of lens? Does it matter? Liquid water is causing the fraction or bending, magnification. We replicate that with a magnifier.
So you're saying that the magnifying glass is all what we need, right?
Is what?
You're saying the magnifying lens is all what we need to actually understand the atmosphere, right?
You need a lens, yes.
What type of lens?
Bearded has already debunked it.
What? Ranty?
Ranty's picture, yeah,
Well,
Bearded Devil done it.
As I said with his face, Soundly, there was a stream of debunks immediately. Now, obviously, Ranty, it depends how long we keep talking about it, obviously. The longer it's a thing, there'll be more debunks of it. That's what we're seeing right now. People making their own.
Sorry, who debunked it? Who debunked it, did you say? I need a name.
Bearded Devil. Devil.
Bearded Devil. Right, okay. This should be funny.
There's his picture in the chat. He done a test over a flat footpath, I think, or something.
Hang on, I need his channel name. What's his channel name?
I don't know. Bearded Devil. He comes in here.
Does anyone know his channel name?
No, he posts videos in there sometimes, but I don't know which channel.
Right, listen. He done this as 1 meter per kilometer. He done a scaled down version of it. So the tower, I don't know the numbers offhand, but the tower is to scale 1 meter per kilometer.
Is this another trigonometry fuck up?
No. And then the background, that piece of whiteboard, is 1 meter per kilometer of the mountain.
Oh, right. So this is what it. Right. Okay. So this is what it should look like on a flat plane, right? Yeah. This is what it should look like on a flat plane.
Ranty.
Okay. So the problem
What he
is that.
didn't realise.
There's the video. Rachel's posted it.
All right.
What he didn't realise is he's got them 20 meters away from the tower, and then the board representing the mountains 80 meters from the tower, which is like 1 meter per kilometer, and that's his results. Now, if you look at the whiteboard, it started off 4 times bigger than the tower.
Yes. When he moved it further away.
Yeah, but listen.
Did it get smaller?
You're only looking through 80 meters of atmosphere. So what you have to do is times the difference in percentage there, because obviously that mountain or that whiteboard has reduced in size, hasn't it? But that's only over 80 meters. So whatever percentage that is, you have to times it by 100. And you'll find it'll come down to exactly the place of the mountain on your picture. Well, not your picture, the one you used.
Brian,
on a flat surface. He's totally debunked it, and he didn't realise what he was doing.
Brian, think about this for a second. If you scaled down the distance, wouldn't you also scale down the amount of atmosphere in between them?
No, you can't. No, you can't. How can you? You're looking through 80 kilometers of atmosphere.
Are you telling me? Are you telling me that to do a scaled observation, we need to keep 80 kilometers worth of atmosphere between 80 meters worth of atmosphere?
You have to times it by 100 to get the same effect. You can see me at 80 kilometers. Can you see me? I mean, at 80 meters.
I can't see you
Can you see me at 80 kilometers? No, you can't. So you're getting more of an effect. So you have to times his results by 100, the percentage of drop, and it would come back down to where Ranty's picture shows it. Sorry.
So I would have to reduce it in half 100 times.
Hold on. No, that's just, he doesn't realise that you would also be pushing back the tower as well at the same rate. It would just scale the same. Oh my, I can't believe you said that. I cannot believe you said that, Brian.
What do you mean pushing the tower back? The tower's only 20 meters away.
Yeah, but he's not. If he's going to scale it, he's not going to just leave the tower where it is and just keep pushing them out.
No,
further
you'll scale that down as well then.
That's something that the other Brian said.
It's not going to scale down as much as the board, which is 80 meters away.
Oh,
4 times as far.
Oh, it would be exactly the same.
Ranty, you are fucked, mate. And I knew somebody would do it. I knew they would.
The same. Oh.
No, it isn't, because you're not looking through the same amount of fucking atmosphere.
Oh, right, okay. Right, the atmosphere is making it change.
I knew what your game was, mate. I knew it straight away.
Yeah. How's that
You're
black
just
swan
going to
going?
show yourself up to be a complete and utter fucking arsehole.
Can you prove that it's sinking, then? Can you prove that the atmosphere is sinking the mountain?
There you go. He's done that on a flat plane.
No, he's not. He scaled it just as it would be on a plane. He scaled it just the same.
No, he hasn't, because he cannot introduce 80 kilometers of fucking atmosphere.
So now you're invoking atmosphere as being the reason why we're seeing this look like that. You complete clown.
What you are looking at is the board is 80 kilometers beyond the tower.
And
it is reducing size, but you're only looking through 80 meters of atmosphere.
And what's the atmosphere going to do to it?
Yeah, for what reason would I need to put 80
affected by 80 meters of atmosphere?
For what reason would I need to
do
include
now
1,000 times the amount of atmosphere?
By 100.
Brian, you may as well wait because we can't hear you anyway.
Why not?
For what reason?
No, not you, Brian.
For what
I mean,
reason would I need to include? For what reason would I need to include 1,000 times more atmosphere?
Not Mabbott, the other Brian.
Mr.
Right.
Mabbott, for what reason would I need to include a thousand times more atmosphere?
He has scaled it 1 meter to 1 kilometer. How many meters are in a fucking kilometer?
1,000.
Thank you.
Now, why would I need to include 1,000 times more atmosphere if the distances are scaled?
Because you're still looking through 1,000 times as much atmosphere as what he is there.
For 1,000 times more distance, I've scaled
Yes.
the distance. Now I have an equal ratio of atmosphere between the scalings. Why would I need to do this?
Drop is you need to times it by 1,000.
That makes no sense.
Why not? You're only looking through 80 meters of atmosphere
so I've skimmed
instead of 80 kilometers of atmosphere. And what he didn't include was the mountains had fucking snow on. Blackpool Tower did not have snow on.
Mabbott,
So we're
do you
looking
know
at
the
two
word
different
multiply?
temperatures as well.
Do you know
So
the word multiply?
it has been completely debunked.
Okay,
Sorry,
so Brian,
Ranty.
Brian,
You're an
Brian,
idiot.
you're a
Brian, you're an
fucking
idiot,
board.
mate. You're Brian Mabbott. You are an absolute clown.
Thank you. Is it painful, Ranty?
Listening to you is always painful.
Please learn how to use the word multiply.
You cannot have a fucking observation scaled to a certain scale and not include the atmosphere you're fucking looking through, you thick cunt.
Brian, if we listen to this for a second, if it's 1,000 times smaller and I include 1,000 times, and there's 1,000 times less distance, why would I include 1,000 times more atmosphere between my scale distances? You're making that would be the equivalent of saying that the only way that you can look at something God, the scaling just makes no sense. There's no reason why I would include
You can scale
1,000 times the atmosphere.
the distances down, but you're not prepared to scale the atmospheric conditions up
Okay,
to the
Percy,
same level. Is that what you're
so
saying?
Wait, Brian. Think about this for a second. Think about it this way. For every 1 meter I go forward, on average, did I pass through the same number of particles? Every 1 meter, is there approximately the same number of particles?
And do they multiply?
No.
They don't. Oh, so you move forward as well, do you? Or do all them meters of particles multiply up into 8,000 meters of particles?
I'll give you an answer if you want. All right, between you and object, Brian. Let me say this.
Hold on, Brian. Let Silent. Hey,
And
Silent.
one of your own has debunked you.
Brian is on our
You're
team.
gonna have to get over
He's
it.
Team
I'm
Flat
sorry.
Earth, Brian. He's on our team. Go on, Silent.
Between you and object one, in reality, you have a certain amount of atmosphere, and then between object two and the third object, you have double the amount of atmosphere, right? When you scale it down to 10 meters in total, 15 meters, that atmosphere is the same between you and between you and object one and object one to object two. So that's why it's not scale. That's why you're not taking into account. It will be like
The composition
From
is
object-
almost exactly the same.
no, that's the thing.
Yes.
You're just missing, because between object two and object three, pretty much you gotta put like a freaking tank with water and sugar.
No.
It's almost why not? You're doubling the fucking atmosphere.
No, you're not doubling the atmosphere. You have the same composition between the two of them. There's no reason why
it
scaling the
isn't
distance.
fucking 80 kilometers dense worth.
I already explained you why. I don't know. There's nothing
You're
else I can
wrong,
do for
though.
you, man. I'm not wrong. I'm
You
right.
are looking through only 8 meters of dense atmosphere instead of 80 kilometers worth of dense atmosphere.
It's relatively uniform between the two.
Yes, so you have to, what I'm saying is you obviously can't do that. So what you got to do is the effect that you see, you have got to say that is at 1,000 a thousandth of the effect you would have. So you need to times that effect by 1,000.
Okay, so let's half the mountain 1,000 times then. The mountain should be invisible at the so small that its angular resolution is unrecognizable at the horizon. Thank you, Mavitt. Thank you for disproving yourself.
What?
If you say that if you say the effect has to be multiplied by 1,000 times, we have to half it 1,000 times. Thank you for disproving your own idiot. Thank you for disproving yourself.
Times. I said a ratio.
If you say the effect has to be multiplied
a
1,000
ratio,
times,
it is reduced in 80 meters.
yeah. So
The
let's make that.
ratio.
So let's go with your logic, Tim. Let's go with your logic here. Put
And
that
this
in
is
there,
what
and then
you're not taking
we'll
into
multiply the
account.
effect 1,000 times.
This is what you are not taking into the account on Ranty's, not Ranty's picture, the picture that Ranty used.
Let's take what you're saying into account. Half that by 1,000 times and tell me how big the mountain is.
I don't know. I haven't worked out the percentages. It's dropped.
All right, so let me go ahead and do that math for you. Give me just a second.
It's not about math. What's up, Kimo? It's not about math. This thing you cannot quantify because between 1 kilometer and another, there may be different temperatures, different conditions, different humidities. There's so many things you guys gotta take into account, and you guys I don't get it. Why you guys, Ranty? I'm amazed. You did all those things with the tanks and all. I'm amazed, bro. It's amazing what you did.
There's two, as I see it with Ranty, there's two possible scenarios. He was either a plant from the beginning to do exactly what he's done, to gain subscribers and to get people to drift away with him, or
he was a plant.
he's been paid off. One or the other. There's two scenarios. I don't know which one it is. I think it's the first one. I don't think he ever was anything to do with Flat Earth, but that's only my opinion.
That's because you're a fucking retard.
Yeah.
All right. So Brian, the quick math on that is that even at 10, even if you have it 10 times, which is only 1/100th of the amount that you're claiming that it would have the effect, the plank should only be 3.8 times 10 to the negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 3.8 times 10 to the negative 6 times. It should be very, very, very much smaller. It should be. It'd be almost 1,000,000 times smaller than the tower, using just even 1/100th of your idiocy.
So there would be an effect change, yeah?
The tower would not. The tower would be visible, but the mountain would be entirely invisible. Think about what you say next time before you come in here half-cocked.
I am thinking about what I'm saying.
You're not, though. Otherwise, you wouldn't come in here and say that
If
it's a
that is
multiplicative
looking
effect
through
of
80
1,000.
meters of atmosphere, and it reduces in that size, because that board, don't forget, is 4 times bigger than the tower.
The problem that
If
you guys
it's
have is
reduced, I
keep
would
thinking
say
only in
that's
numbers.
1.5.
No, the problem is that Brian gave us numbers and said that it must affect it this way. The only problem is that the logical conclusion of what he's given us means that the tower should be visible, but the mountain should be infinitesimally small, such as it can't even be perceived. That's Brian's idiocy.
Based on the scale or in reality?
If he wants to back up and change what the effect is, or give us some numbers that actually work, then we can go with it. But right now, what he's doing is just being an ignorant fuck.
I'm not giving you any numbers. I'm giving you what I was told.
What you
He
told me is the effect should be
distance.
increased 1,000 times. And
He
if the board
reduced the distance from 80 kilometers to 80 meters. And he got that effect on a flat paving. I think that's a path in front of some sort of showroom or something.
Regardless, Brian, you told me the effect would be increased by 1,000-fold, and if the beam was reduced by half in its size over that distance, and I need to increase that by 1,000-fold, that means I need to half it 1,000 more times.
I said the percentage of what it's reduced.
Okay, in that case, it should reduce
Not-
in that
not
case, it
the
should.
fucking size
In that
of the
case, it should have
mountain.
10 times. In which case, it still should be invisible.
I don't know. I'll have to do some work on it. I'm in the truck at the minute with my laptop, so I ain't got the shit that I need.
Yeah. If you're saying it's
It-
1,000, if you're
It
saying it's
disproves
1,000%,
it, and it just shows Ranty up to being exactly who he is.
if you're going to say 1,000%, that means the effect needs to be halved 10 times, which once again comes back to the fact that it would be infinitesimally small in the background.
You guys act like this is the first observation anyone's ever made of a large object with an even larger object behind it, and the object in front is taller. Like, this isn't some unsolved mysteries case, Mabbit.
I think there's work to be done. Let's say.
I mean, you can get educated and realize that the Earth is a fucking globe, or you can keep
He's
trying
not
to
a fucking
keep trying to
globe.
keep trying to make a
You have
square peg
got
fit into a round hole.
You have got no curvature. You have got no rotation. You cannot be living on a ludicrous fucking globe.
But we are.
Yes, we know
No,
that you
you're
we know
not.
that you can't. We know that big numbers
No,
scare you. It's okay.
you are not.
Brian,
We
If
understand
the
that.
Earth was spinning at the
This is-
rate
this
they
is-
say it does, to
Mabbit.
deform the planet into an ellipsoid and to lift water and continents, apparently 22 kilometers high at the equator, don't you think we would have some sort of effect on the surface of Earth?
I have no clue what you're talking about, Mabbit, but this is a you problem.
No, I know you haven't, because you don't understand centrifugal force.
I don't understand what you're crying about. I do understand centrifugal and centripetal
If
force.
you implement
I also
what they
understand
tell
gravity.
you the
and I
Earth is
understand the
supposed to
relationship
be
between
doing,
centripetal, and gravity, which you also don't understand because you don't believe in gravity.
there is no fucking gravity. We have disproven that a
Exactly.
million
You're a
fucking
idiot.
times.
You're an idiot, Mabbit. Go to school.
I'm not an idiot. Gravity
you
has
problem.
been completely disproven.
Yeah, by whom again? Oh,
There
that's
is
right,
no such
one.
force coming from the fucking center of the Earth.
Mabbit,
It's ludicrous.
This is a you problem. Arguments from incredulity, which is what you're saying when you're saying it's ludicrous, have no bearing whatsoever to reality.
Right, answer me this. Listen to me and fucking answer me this. Does your Earth fucking rotate?
It does. Once per day.
Does it?
Once per day.
Once per day. Right, so 24,901 miles on the surface
Mm-hmm.
per 24 hours.
Uh-huh.
Well, sounds right to me.
Correct?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That gives a surface speed at the equator of 1,038 miles per hour.
You better hang on.
Yeah, and
Which we are told the centrifugal force of that deforms the planet into an ellipsoid, flattening the poles and squashing out the equator and humping water up 22 kilometers high, and apparently it does the same with the land as well.
Okay.
Sounds right.
Now, if there is a force that great that can distort your planet to them values, as they're your figures, not mine, don't you think we would feel some sort of
there's where you're wrong.
some sort
Don't
of
you
reaction
think
to
you
that
should
force
feel?
on the
Doesn't
surface,
matter
which
what
is
our
where it has
feelings
got
are,
the
Mabbit.
greatest?
Doesn't matter what our feelings are, Mabbit. Science doesn't give a fuck about feelings.
No, you're right.
Science
No,
doesn't prove anything, you say. You
So-
say science doesn't prove anything.
So,
No,
Brian,
science doesn't care about what you feel, Mabbit. You think we should
No,
feel
no,
something.
science. You say science doesn't prove anything.
correct.
Yeah, we falsify things with
Why are you quoting science if it proves fuck all?
because we
It
can
disproves
falsify
things.
things and we can have degrees of certainty, Mabbit.
Falsify?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
These are words you
it
learn in
can-
school when you actually study this stuff versus looking at it on YouTube and thinking you know everything.
So what does falsify mean then? Give me a definition of falsify.
It means to show not to be accurate.
So it proves something is incorrect.
No,
So it
shows
does
it's not
prove
accurate.
things then.
There's no such thing as proving a negative, Brian.
It's
Mavitt,
not.
if
You
I
can't
say- if I
prove
say-
he's not
Mavitt,
doing
listen,
something.
Brian, if I say something isn't blue, that doesn't mean it's red. It just means it's not blue.
So you've proved it's not fucking blue, you thick
It's not
cunt.
proof. It's not proof. You fucking
You
ignoramus. There's
fucking
no such thing
asshole.
as there's no
Look,
such
Mavitt,
thing as
if you
proving
want
a
to have
negative.
semantical arguments over the word proof, that's fine. Again, that's a you problem. That's not an us problem.
No, it's not me a problem. You call us science deniers, but you can't say science doesn't prove anything, and then you just said it proves blue is not fucking red.
I
Which
can say
means it
something
proves
is
blue
not-
is fucking blue, you
I
thick
you
twat.
did not listen to me, Matt.
Shut
I
up,
I
Brian.
can say something isn't blue, and that doesn't mean it's red. I can say that something isn't correct, and it doesn't automatically mean it's a proof of something else. Science comes up with the best possible answer to a given hypothesis at any given time, and it changes daily, hourly, yearly as our understanding grows about whatever the subject matter is.
Pseudoscience, you mean?
So it proves
No,
a negative.
actual science.
Go on, Brian.
But it may change all the time, but not in the globe, huh? That one is fixed.
Mate.
No,
They're
we
so fucking
we change
brainwashed.
our ideas of the globe
They
constantly.
don't realise what they've had
Well, we're
done to
coming
them.
with new evidence that you guys are fixed on the fucking
used
on
to
your
have
science.
geocentrism as
Hold
our
on.
main belief, and then we came up with heliocentrism because it fits better. We're
Hold-
constantly evolving, constantly changing. That's what science is.
Well, take this into your fucking thinking. Water does not fucking curve. It cannot support its own mass. Water
Why not?
finds seeks
Why?
and finds its own level.
Mhm.
Which is why
Put that into your fucking
That is
calculation.
That is
Brian,
not an
if that-
intrinsic property of water, Mavitt. And if you
Yeah,
think
Brian,
it is, then feel free to cite it.
Yeah, Brian,
But
if that were
until
the
you
case,
can,
all
all that
Brian,
is flat Earth nonsense.
yeah,
Not
if that were
flat
the case,
Earth.
Brian,
Earth is
every
not
single
flat.
body of
We
water.
have mountains, valleys, and fucking trenches. Earth is not
Brian,
flat. But what
So,
is
Brian, if it were the
water
case that
finds
water
its
could-
own fucking level.
That
If
is
it was
not
the
an
case
And
intrinsic
you lot
property of water.
deny that absolute fact.
If it were the case that water could not support its own weight, Brian, that would mean that every single body of water ever would only be one molecule layer thick.
And it would be if it's got no fucking container, like a shoreline, maybe.
Containers
You're
aren't
still
required.
not understanding.
Pour water onto a flat piece of glass and see how fucking big it mounds up.
It will be a whole hell of a lot higher than one molecule layer deep.
Well, we know we got surface tension, don't we? And meniscus. We know we've got that.
Well, guess what?
Is it
That's
going to
what-
mount up? Is it going to
Guess
mount up
what?
by a foot?
Water has adhesion and cohesion. Water has
Actually,
one
both
more.
of those, yeah.
We're
That
talking
means
about
that water
large
can
bodies,
support it.
Brian. Large bodies of water. Stop being silly.
They know
Kimo,
it,
and
mate.
once again,
The
that goes-
problem is they have, because they're indoctrinated with this complete and utter nonsense, they have to fucking get round it. And the only way they can do is deny absolute fucking knowledge that water will not form a curve.
Again, that's not provable or showable or citable anywhere, Matt, because it's
Yes,
not
it
a
is, because
property
we've
of
got a
water.
fucking
Then
tool called
cite
the water
that.
level.
Then fucking cite where you think it says that water can't curve. I want a citation right now from an accredited scientific paper, journal, book, anything. Go ahead. I want to read
You'll
water
have to do
can't
that
curve.
for me, Kimo, because I'm on this fucking laptop and I'm running out of me data. I've only got 2 gigs left.
Oh, Kimo won't do that.
Kimo, do it now.
He won't. He won't do it.
Do what?
Find a citation that says water finds its own level. There must be millions of the fuckers.
That's not what you were asked for. You were asked for a paper that says that water cannot in any way, shape, or form ever curve.
Same difference. Finds its own level.
That's also not an intrinsic property of water.
Yes, it is. And you lot have been brainwashed to fucking dismiss that. Can't you see what they've done to you? They've taken away your common sense.
They prevented me from being the fucking ignoramus that you are, is what they've done.
They have. You would probably be 10 times fucking cleverer than what you think you are if you'd done away with their nonsense.
I certainly wouldn't be a doctor if I didn't put up with their nonsense.
So you're a doctor?
Yeah.
In what
That-
fields?
Internal medicine.
Internal medicine. What is our blood pressure at?
Say again?
What is our blood pressure?
Your blood pressure is a gauge pressure, and it varies by person.
What?
What's the pressure he's asking?
It varies by person. Textbook
by
is
what?
120 over 80.
What's the
Well,
height?
let's say an average blood pressure then.
What's the
Let's go with
between,
textbook.
doctor?
120.
Between what?
Let's go with textbook. 120 over 80. What about it?
So
look that
120 millibars is that?
120 millimeters of mercury above 80 millimeters of mercury.
Millibars, yeah? Or is it
I just gave it to you.
Is
Just
it
go ahead.
Pascal?
Go ahead.
Is that
What's that in
Pascals or
PSI,
millibars?
doctor?
Doesn't matter. It's a gauge pressure. It's above atmospheric pressure.
So are
No, it's
you
not.
saying you've got to add 14.7 psi on top of that?
No.
It's a gauge pressure.
Your blood pressure
Yes.
varies between 1.5 and 2.5 psi.
That's a gauge pressure, Kimo.
Yeah,
That means that it is above atmospheric pressure.
that's what he was asking.
Right, so that means it contains 14.7 as well.
Yes. Absolute
No.
versus gauge pressure. You guys act like this is the first time you've heard this.
What about your bladder? What pressure's your urine come out at?
Your bladder pressure is actually a combination of forces, including a contraction of the muscle. It's not gas powered. Most of it's actually gravity driven.
So where's your 14.7 in there then?
It's a hollow tube, and it's not as. What are you talking about? It's not the same thing. You're talking about a closed system versus an open system.
So a bladder's an open system. So we should just walk around pissing ourselves everywhere, should we?
God, that's not what it means in that way. Your bladder's just not like filling up with air. Your bladder is able to vent air.
A bladder vents air to where? Out
It's
of the
able to pass freely
urethra.
to and from. It just doesn't do it because there's no evacuation there. There's nothing that's going to force air just right up into your bladder. Nothing
Right.
like that.
What
It's
about
also-
sweat glands? What pressure are sweat glands under?
Sweat glands are something else entirely. They're a secretion. They're secretion, and they're not under any one pressure.
They're not, right? What about tears? Teardrops?
Tear ducts are once again not under any one pressure. It's
Right.
driven by a combination of forces. I don't know why you're trying to treat everything like it's only subject
Well,
to the pressure
all
of
of
the
those
body.
liquids I have mentioned come out of our bodies into
Yeah.
14.7 psi allegedly.
And
So high pressure always go to low pressure.
Oh my God, Brian.
you're not understanding anything about this at
I
all.
am, and so is he. And he knows you haven't got 14 psi in your fucking teardrops, tear
Exactly.
ducts. He knows you haven't got 14 psi
You also
in your sweat
don't-
glands.
You also don't
Because
just
it's
have
nonsense.
tears. You also don't just have tears hanging out in those ducts that are behind a vacuum seal. Nothing about that is true.
It is
Your tear
complete
ducts are
and utter nonsense. And why do women stop bleeding if they get into a bath of only 6 inches of water at 1.2 psi?
What do you mean 1.2 psi?
6 inches of water is 1.2 psi.
Plus 14.7.
Where'd you get the
14.7. Where does that come from?
The water pressure at the surface.
Water pressure at the surface. What about?
So women bleed at over 17
No, you don't have to
psi.
say women
do they?
bleed, but the idea is that if you bleed,
You're
Brian,
a fucking, if you're a doctor, I would hand your fucking doctorate back in because it's a complete load of fucking nonsense.
Mabbit, see, immediately under the surface of water, water is at 1 atmosphere of pressure. Do you deny that?
Of course I deny it. It's a complete load of bollocks.
The atmosphere hasn't got pressure, Brian. That's the point.
There is I think there's a very tiny bit. It's pascals. Now, a pascal is 1,000th of a millibar.
You work on race cars. How do you not know the difference between total pressure and gauge pressure?
I know the difference between them both. And I see how our bodies... I see
Brian,
our
do you know
bodies
what-
working without
But you
14
don't.
PSI.
Do you know what
Inside of them.
active transport is, Brian? Like transporting something against
Is
the
as an egg.
concentration gradient?
Has an egg got 14 PSI in it?
All right, just
Yeah.
ignore the
When a chicken lays an egg, is that
Brian,
14
you're
PSI inside that fucking egg?
Yes, because an egg
You
is
fucking
permeable to
lunatic,
air.
man. You're an absolute fucking lunatic.
Oh my god.
The egg is permeable to air. That's why there's an air cell in the fucking egg.
You're a nutcase. And if you're a doctor, you want to fucking rethink yourself.
How are you so wrong?
I don't think you're a
even
doctor.
understand.
I think you're well read. I don't think you're a doctor. You're well read on the subject, yes.
in their professions?
You haven't gotten a single thing right yet, and you're telling me you don't think I'm a doctor.
No, I don't. Because you know your fucking blood system is not going round at fucking 17.5 PSI. You know that.
Maximum
It's
2.5
gauge pressure. It is gauge pressure. That is the pressure it is above sea level. Oh, sorry,
That
above
means,
just
atmosphere
2.5
that
psi, like you
means
pump up a tire.
internally in our bodies, we would have to have over 17 PSI
Where
to
does the
be
extra
able
12
to
psi
bleed
come
out.
from?
Because high pressure always goes to low pressure. They have lied to you.
My God.
Just put your finger on one of your veins and tell me there's fucking 17 PSI in it.
He's hashing this up and he's making fun of Brian.
Fucking nutcase.
Hey, Mabbit, why don't you just cite a source for that too? Or did you forget how to do that?
Just press on one of your veins. Get it now. You must have a vein near the surface. Press on it and tell me there's 17 PSI in there. Remembering a football is 15 PSI.
Brian, how would the vein, Brian, how would the vein rebound if there wasn't the equivalent amount of pressure inside
There
of it?
is, but it's nothing like what we've been told.
The maximum is 2.5.
What does that
I
mean?
forgot Brian
It's
had
nothing
ancient
like
knowledge.
we've been told.
We are in millibars at the best, if not pascals, which is 1,000th of a millibar.
I like how he changes units as if that changes the actual measurement.
No, they fed our
silly.
heads full of shit.
If I measure it in millimeters instead of inches, it'll be a different length.
No, Brian, you filled your head full of shit. And you've believed
I have
it.
not. It is fucking there in front of you.
Mabbit, how come we all know this and you're the only person that has a different point of view? And why do you think that you're not the common denominator as far as the biggest idiot goes?
Look, I'm here to impart information onto you, nothing else.
Yeah, but your information is wrong, so why don't you go to school, buddy?
No,
Well,
it is
you've
not
got me
wrong.
told.
That's where you went, and you've been taught bullshit.
Yeah, and I'm a productive member of society. Where'd you get your information from?
No, you're not. You think you are. You're lying to people.
Oh, okay, so you're gaslighting me now. Thanks.
Like
Where'd you
you
get your
were just
information
doing.
from, Mabbit? Where did you get your
If
ancient
you
knowledge
say
from?
there's 14 PSI in the atmosphere and Earth
I
is
don't
a
give a crap
spinning
about
ball,
your
you
incorrect
are lying
assumptions
to
about
people.
blood pressure. I want to know where you got your information from.
Is he arguing?
I can feel it.
From
Feel your
Brian
fucking
and
vein,
Verbal,
you
they're
sick twat.
doctors.
Where did you get your information
Dr.
from? You don't
Brian,
feel your
Dr.
pulse
Verbal,
and go,
they're
oh my
here.
gosh, we can't
I'm a
possibly have
doctor
14
like you're a
PSI.
fucking doctor.
I'm
Where
a
did
doctor.
you learn
The
this
doctors
from?
tell you your blood pressure. Don't you understand what's wrong with this guy? Blood pressure.
Where did you get your information from,
Oh
Matt?
my goodness. You never been to a hospital?
Right.
Duh.
Where did you get your information from,
Oh
Mabbit? Where
my
did you
God,
learn
you
this
see,
knowledge?
he's doubling down
Kimo,
now.
shut up. Good
He's
Lord, no one's
embarrassed.
talking to you.
Doubling down. Who
Is
else
Brian-
tells you about your blood
Anyway.
pressure, Nidhogg?
Holy crap. Is Brian arguing that blood pressure is lower than air pressure? Is that the argument?
No,
Yes,
Nidhogg
he
is
is.
saying, where did you get your blood pressure from?
No, I asked him where he got his information from about how we can't possibly have our blood pressure at 1 atmosphere.
Oh.
Mabbit has also claimed he knows the difference between gauge and absolute pressure, which he clearly doesn't.
Yes, I do. I know what they tell you, but it's fuck all what they tell you. They lie to you.
Perfect.
You show me.
Where did you get your information from, Mabbit, to say we're wrong?
You prove to me we live in 14 psi.
I don't need to
How are
prove
you
that
going
to
to do
you,
that?
Mabbit. You need to show us
How are
where
you
you
gonna
got your
do it?
information from.
Honestly, I would make a barometer, but you wouldn't understand that either.
How's that going to work? Because it's in 14.7 psi, is
Yes,
it not?
and then we would move it to a location that wasn't 14.7 psi and look at the difference.
Which is where?
Where?
Which is
At
where? Where's that
elevation.
location?
Elevate yourself.
Top of a mountain.
Right. So a
Calgary,
mountain's
Alberta,
zero,
Canada,
is it?
Denver.
No, it's not
we
zero. It's
live
just
in-
not 14.7 anymore. You look for a difference.
So
you make
how
a
do you
tool
get
to
a 0
measure that
point
difference.
then? How'd you get a 0 point?
I mean, we could build a vacuum chamber and put the barometer inside of that.
A vacuum chamber.
And get very, very near to zero.
Yeah, you say vacuum chamber like you don't understand. A vacuum is just very low pressure, Mabbit.
Well, then show us the barometer from vacuum to atmospheric pressure. Let's
No.
have a look.
I mean, the barometer is how we measure it.
Barometers
We measure that with the barometer.
All right, fine, Brian. Let's see them put it in a vacuum, 0 pressure, and then show the pressure increase.
It's a load of bollocks, mate.
Well, let's have a look first
Barometer
before we call
used
that.
Pascal. Pascals, there is 1,000 of them in 1 millibar.
You also don't seem to understand how units of measure work. And
It's complete nonsense.
hey, Brian, if I measure something in inches and it's 10 inches long, and then I measure it in millimeters, is it longer because I measured it in millimeters? Did the whole thing get longer?
No.
There's more
No,
millimeters?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying where do you start your zero from?
You're treating
If this
that
thing
like
you are measuring,
the actual
if this thing is measuring, where are you going to start your measurement from?
Doesn't matter where you started from.
Oh, you can just dream that cunt up, can you?
No, it doesn't
How
matter
do you
where
get
you
a
started
zero
from,
to start
wherever you
from
are is the
measuring
measurement.
here as 14.7 psi?
It's not a number we just pulled out of a fucking hat, Mabbit, and said,
Yes,
that
it
sounds
is.
right.
They've just fucking invented it.
Well, actually, it's based on
Actually,
the
there is no
It's what you get with the
physical way that
barometer.
you
It's
can
based on
create
33 feet.
a zero position.
Right, it's based on the.
They are lying
10
to you.
meters underwater is 14.7 psi. 33 meters.
You're just wrong,
Underwater.
Mabbit. And the fact that you won't tell us where you got your information to say we're wrong just shows that you're an even bigger idiot.
Is he denying like that barometers work? Is that what he?
Barometers work, yeah, but they work in pascals, which is a
Pascal.
fucking
Listen
millibar.
to this. Mabbit denies that there's push and pull. There's only push in Mabbit's world because Mabbit's a fucking retard.
Brian, you can convert pascals to atmospheres to torr.
Yes, you can convert them, but they haven't got a 0 point.
Just a
Can't you understand that?
It's irrelevant, Mabbit.
Hey, Brian,
And
how
as
does
for
the barometer
pull,
work? How does the
as
mercury
for pull
barometer
and
work?
push, there is no pull. Every action you do is push.
Mabbit, you don't need to dig yourself further into a hole by going on to another one of your diatribes about how there's no push and pull.
You cannot pull anything.
Yes, you can.
No, you
Example.
cannot.
What's the example?
Well,
of
then
pull?
cite a reference that says you can't pull things.
No,
Oh, wait.
give an example
Oh, wait,
of
you
pull.
can't cite that either. You can't cite anything.
Bring the
back
door
with anything you say, Matt.
Brian, ask him for an example. We want an example of.
Don't
There
want an
isn't one,
example. I
mate.
want a citation from an accredited
I'm
scientific
giving you a
journal that
citation.
backs up your statement, Matt.
There is
Until then, you're
no
just a kook
pull.
claiming nonsense.
Every action you do is a push.
You're a
Every
kook
action
claiming
you
nonsense
do
unless you can back
is
it
a
up with a
push.
citation.
I'm giving you a citation now
All right, from where? What journal?
from me.
Okay, so irrelevant then.
What do you want to know? Tell me a pull then.
I want
out
your
to me a
source
pull.
that you use to come up with this crazy
I'm
harebrained
giving you the
notion
source.
that there are no pulls other than yourself because you're an idiot, a non-credible source.
Well, give an example then,
Alright,
Nidhug.
you
What's wrong with you?
You tell me one pull.
Tug of war.
Tell me one.
Tug of war.
Where's the pulling?
What?
Where's the pull?
Tug of war. Right, let's have a look at tug of war. The anchor man
Why are you
wraps
chasing
the
him down
rope
this rabbit hole?
around his shoulder and he leans on it and pushes against the rope. Does he not?
This is
Digs his
irrelevant.
heels in and pushes.
Mabbit, this is
The other
irrelevant.
anchor man does
Newton's-
exactly the
Newton's
same.
laws
Shut up.
dictate
Learn
an
something for
equal
fuck's
and
sake.
opposite reaction. You can't just have pushes. You have equal and opposite reactions. There are pushes and
The
pulls.
anchor man on the other side does exactly the same. He wraps the rope around him and then leans backwards onto it, pushing against the rope, digs his heels in and pushes off the ground.
I suggest
Now
you
the
read a
blokes
dictionary,
on
Brian.
between them
English
grip
not good for
the
you.
rope with a push. Your thumb and your fingers push together and grip the rope, and then they dig their heels in, lean backwards, and push. Every action you do is push.
Brian,
What does this have to do with
you
the
really need to
atmosphere?
look.
He
Yeah,
brought it up,
push.
not me.
The
He
only
brought it up.
difference-
I didn't.
The difference between
Hey,
push and
Mabbit, I got a
pull.
question for you. If you're locked in a
Okay, I
room
won't talk.
with a fire alarm and there's a fire going off and you stare at the fire alarm and it says pull, will you die in that building or will you pull the fire alarm?
You don't pull. You can't pull anything.
So you die in that building is what you're saying.
No, you cannot.
You'd push
pull
on that fire
anything.
alarm until you got consumed by flames.
You have
What
to
sort of
understand.
fire alarm is it?
Quiet, Brian. I'm talking. You have to understand.
Is it a glass one that you push and break?
Right, let Termin have a go.
I'm just explaining Brian's mental issue here. You have to understand he doesn't speak English well. He's never looked up the word push or pull, so he's putting in his own definitions. You cannot win this argument with this insane person.
Not an argument. We need a
I
demonstration.
wonder
of
why.
pull.
I wonder why you can't win it. Because
No,
there
you
is
need to
no
shut the
such
hell up,
thing
Spurs.
as
Don't
pull.
you ever I told you before,
Because you
Spurs,
can't-
you
you
do not
can't win.
speak to me.
At a battle of idiocy
Now-
because you are clearly more learned on it.
Well, where's the
The
demonstration? of a
atmosphere
pull?
isn't pushing or pulling.
Hey, Mabbit, I only got a
Realise
second.
you have been fucking lied to.
All right, Brian, listen to me for a second, real quick.
I will curve.
You've got a floor tile that's set in wet mortar. It's too low. Okay, you need to raise it up. Now, what you've done is you've applied a suction cup to the surface of that floor tile, so that it can be lifted up and made even with the surrounding tiles.
I'm with you.
Now, are you going to tell me that the suction cup is going to push the tile up?
Well, what is the force you're going to apply? Where's that going to come from?
I'm going to lift the suction cup.
I'll tell you where it'll come from. Is the handle
We
of
can
the
get to
suction
that
cup.
later. We're not
listen,
concerned with my
it's
hand.
all-
Hey, Brian, hold on. Brian, I only got a second. I don't have time for these games. We're not concerned with my hand and the suction cup, okay? We're concerned with the suction cup and the tile. Now, tell me how the suction cup is going to push the tile up.
Okay, once you vacuum the suction cup onto the tile, it becomes part of the tile because it's affixed to the tile. Now, the only
I know. Oh, so when I glue my hand to the,
I think.
when I glue my hand to the suction cup, then I'm part of the suction cup. Is that the angle?
That's right. You're not
Because I'm not going to
applying-
grab the suction cup and pull on it. I'm just
No,
going to
you're going to
I'll
push
my hand
on the.
into it. I'm going to use an adhesive.
Listen to me then. Let me fucking explain. You are going to put your hand in the handle
No.
and you are going to push.
No, I'm not doing that.
Against
I'm not
the
putting my
back
hand in the
handle.
handle. I'm not doing that, Brian. You're
That's what
wasting
you're doing
time.
then.
I'm going to glue the
Right, what
palm
you
of my
doing?
hand to the handle. And I'm not going to, as I pull my hand back, it's going
Right.
to pull on the suction cup, which is going to pull on the tile.
Right. So why don't we just glue your hand straight to the tile and do away with the suction?
Why don't you explain to me how that's a fucking push, Muppet?
Right, so we're going to get some super glue and we're going to glue your hand directly to the tile, yeah?
Tell me where the push is, Muppet.
Are you going to glue your hand to the tile? We'll get it off. There's a release agent. Don't worry.
That's fine.
We're going to glue
Tell
your
me
hand straight to the tile.
where is the push, Muppet?
Right. Listen. You're going to.
I'm listening. I'm listening, and you're not answering, Muppet. You're not answering. Where's the push? Where is the push? No. You're running your mouth, not answering. Answer the motherfucking question. No, you're not, Muppet.
Is this your technique?
Answer the question, Muppet. Where's
Shut
the
the fuck
push?
up and I'll tell you. You are going to push with your feet against the other tiles to bring your hand towards you. The energy you will apply is a push. Thank you. Good night.
You're out of your fucking mind.
So we've got a super chat.
He gotcha though. Go ahead, Kimo.
He's got curved, yeah. He's wrapped curved up in a little ball.
Jeremy, I hope that fucking rocket hits your goddamn house.
All right, we've got this super chat here.
I know it's painful curved, but you've been lied to.
You're painfully stupid, Muppet. Good day. All of you, good day.
So this is from.
He won't go. I know he won't go.
Hold on, Brian. Let him.
He likes learning stuff.
Brian, we've got a super cheat. This is from Maslow, $5. Brian, please calm down and don't shout into the mic. Today is a lovely day, so don't waste it screeching. Also, Kimo, when is Ladies' Night again? Ladies' Night will be obviously when the ladies are here and they arrange with Becky that to come. Brian, how are you going to respond to the? Yeah.
I'll respond to the super chat. It's usually
Very
ladies.
good. I'll calm down.
It's usually
Okay.
his ladies' night in here because these guys are a bunch of bitches.
Jeremy's got
No, there is
scoliosis.
no such thing as pull. Every force we apply is a push. If you think you're pulling a door towards you, you put your hand at the back of the handle and push against it towards yourself.
The fuck?
A piston engine works.
drugs.
All the movement on a piston engine is push.
You're on drugs, man.
What?
You're on drugs.
Not on drugs. I don't fucking drink or fucking smoke or take drugs.
Maybe you should. Maybe that's the issue.
There is no such thing as pull.
Are you saying the reciprocal stroke on a cylinder is not a pull? It's
No, there's
it's
no
not
pull.
creating a suction through the carburetor to draw air and petrol into
I'm
the
telling
engine.
you. All right, let's go through the 4-stroke cycle, right? Mm-hmm. The starter motor is an electric motor that's got teeth on it. It engages with the flywheel starter ring gear, and the top of the cog pushes against the other one. So gears push against each other. The crank rotates, and the crank pushes on the conrod and pushes the piston upwards.
On the upstroke, yep.
On the upstroke,
all right.
right?
And then on the reciprocal stroke, Brian.
Hold on, then as it goes over top down center, it's pushing against the side of the rod, and then it starts pushing the rod downwards.
No, you see that's where you got your motor wrong, because obviously the reciprocal stroke downwards is not caused by the motion of the cam rod. It's caused by the explosion of the air and fuel mixture in the cylinder.
Now, wait a minute.
giving
We
you
ain't on that.
a force.
We're not on that stroke yet. We're not on that stroke. We're on the
you're right.
induction.
You're doing all 4 strokes. Sorry, go on.
We're doing induction stroke. So the crank now is pushing on the bottom of the conrod, which pushes the conrod down, which transfers it through the gudgeon pinion, and the top of the rod pushes on the gudgeon pin. Fuck's sake, sounds like I've had a drink. And the bottom of the pin pushes on the piston to move the piston downwards. And
so
then
is it stroking, is it pulling, or is it tugging? Which one?
Shut up. It's all push. Everything is a push. As it goes down, then the camshaft pushes the valve open. And as it starts to go back up the other side, the spring pushes the valve back shut again. So it's done the induction stroke, and now it's on the compression stroke. So the piston now is being pushed back up by the crank, and now it creates compression, and we get ignition at top dead center or just before or wherever your fucking timing's set. And now the piston, you get about a 700 psi, this is on natural aspirated, 700 psi burst of gases in there, which pushes the piston down, which now starts to push the crank round.
So anyone that said that Brian didn't understand how an engine works, take it back, because that was utterly correct.
That was completely correct.
Yeah.
So does
No,
anyone else
I
have
wanted to steer man you a bit there, mate.
Hold on. For fuck's sake, I'm not having you agree with me. You have got to call me mental or something. For thinking of horse
I'll call you. I'll call, if you've got an idea that I think that's mental, Brian, I'll say it. I won't call you mental.
Mate, I
And
spent
I also
3
don't
days
assume
arguing with
that-
fucking...
Alright, so look, we've had Curve debunked with his little plunger. We've had Druss debunked with his bike. Do we have any more pulling mechanisms?
that we can talk about.
Yeah, so Brian can explain mechanics.
I think the funny thing is that Brian's there is no pull in contact forces is not like in contact forces is not a wrong thing to say. I just don't think Brian totally understands why.
Well, go on then. What's the mechanism of the pull?
Well, in contact forces, it's all pushing. It's all pushing in contact forces.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, but there are other types of forces.
Looking for a
there are
pulling force.
non-contact
What
forces.
are they then? What are they?
Magnetic.
What are the other types?
Like magnetism.
How does a magnet work?
Sake.
I mean, you could charged particles will move in the direction of the magnetic field.
Moving, so they're accelerating, they're being pushed.
Hold on, magnets push each other away as well, don't they?
They can, if that's how you
Yeah.
orient the fields.
But in terms of attraction,
It is a
there's
non-contact
nothing
force.
pushing.
Yeah, but there's no physical movement. So you've got an energy drawn towards another energy, haven't you?
There is physical movement of the charged particles,
Yeah. But there's no contact in them.
but there's no contact, and so it's a different kind of force. In contact forces, there is no pull. You were 100% right about that, but that is not the only kind of force that exists.
It's a contact sport.
No, contact force. Can you tell these that? Because they think
Well,
we
just
have-
be specific. Be specific when you're talking about it.
Is
You can't
the
say they're-
only other one you can think of magnetism?
No, the
No,
strong
that's just
nuclear
off the
force,
top of
the
my
weak
head.
nuclear force.
Yeah.
Strong and weak what?
The strong and weak nuclear force.
A pulling force.
What do they do?
They're what hold molecules together and what hold atoms together.
It's not something we come across in everyday fucking life, though, is it?
Do you interact with matter every day? Are you telling me that you don't interact with matter every day, Brian?
Yeah,
Not
but how
personally.
How do we know the final piece of matter at the end of all of that is not being pushed against a wall?
Hold on, I only went through the induction cycle. We got the fucking explode and everything, and exhaustion and.
Another 3 more to go, Brian. I knew where you were going.
Have you
Kimo-
seen a 5? Have you seen a 5-stroke engine?
No.
Those
the
weird rotary
engines come
things.
up- No, it's a piston engine, but then it's got another sort of piston on the end that uses the exhaust gases from one that's already exploded. Some Indian come up with it. It's fucking ingenious, man.
I don't know
Like
if
a
calling
cylinder
it
version
5-stroke
of
would be
a turbo.
technically correct because that other piston would have to have a second stroke. So it'd have to be 6-stroke.
I never quite went into it because I thought it was a wind-up, to tell you the truth. But then I seen a 6-stroke engine.
Yeah, well, with a secondary piston, you're talking about a 4-stroke and a 2-stroke next to each other, and you'd be calling that a 6-stroke. But I guess, okay.
They're using the pulse out of the 4-stroke engine to recharge another cylinder to get another force out of it before it again exhausts it. It's fucking ingenious. And this is somebody in India that's done this. And they reckon they can get thousands of miles out of a fucking gallon of fuel. I'll tell you what it reminded me of. Do you remember the triple steam engine where they used the steam again to a larger and larger piston? Did you ever see that? No.
Well, surely it'd be a smaller and smaller piston rather than larger and larger.
Is it a large?
As you go,
No, because it's like...
as you go through the system, how are you maintaining the pressure? Because the pressure is
but it's a lower pressure, so they have to have a greater volume. I think they said.
Okay, no.
Yeah, have a look at it. It's called a triple summit or other steam engine, and they use the steam in one piston, and then instead of venting it to the atmosphere, they put it into another piston chamber, use it again. Fucking hell, what's he driving about at this time? And then they use it again. The same steam, but of course it's losing energy all the time. So they have to. I'm sure they have to have a bigger piston, but I might be wrong. But it's fascinating.
Yeah, I remember. When I was a kid, going to see some of the big sort of beam steam engines that they had. That one of the ones was a water pump. In London, and also went up to one of the canal lifts.
Right, they use them as pump. Well, they did that till I think it was like middle of this 1900s or something. They were still using them.
Still the most amazing design shit I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just stuff that looks so cool.
Have you seen how they feed the big ends with oil? It's amazing.
I've seen them do that on a steam tractor.
You're
literally oiling it all the time.
No, there's another one which fucking amazed me. From the big end journal, they have a bit of tube coming up to the center of the rotation of the crank. And in there, they have like a U channel in a circle.
Oh, they just keep pouring oil and it goes around.
And they just drip oil into it, and centrifugal force sends it down the pipe to the big end journal. It's fucking so simple, but so effective. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the design stuff like that, Brian. When I go and see how that was built and the skill that it was built, the accuracy that it was built with.
What about the evidence for the globe, Brian? Have you not seen Ranty's picture? Ranty's picture shows that the Earth is dropping. How about
they fucking dropping.
How do you
we
explain
don't live
this?
on a fucking ludicrous spinning Earth. That's fucking stupid.
How do you explain Ranty's picture on a flat Earth, Brian?
It's just fucking. I don't believe.
You want to cut me off? That's fine.
Oh, sorry. Go on,
Brian. How do you explain this on a flat Earth? Ranty's picture.
It explains itself. It's things just look different as they go away from you, and it will always happen. And Ranty is the biggest sort of person to push that. Boy, he's fucking changed his mind on it. I don't know, after he's done 5 years of fucking experiments and tests, and maybe he's been paid. I don't know. I wouldn't like to think there's
paid to be a globat. Do you think there's a dark, underground, sinister, cabal-like type of group?
Why would they lie though?
There's psyops, mate, that they need this keep going. They've got to keep pushing this narratives, and they would have psyops to do that.
But why Ranty?
I just love fucking with them.
Why Ranty?
Well, I mean, this is what they do in the real world. Though, if they have some kind of opposition, they'll go to a country. Like, say they have some kind of political opposition, they'll go to a country. They'll start throwing a lot of money around, controlling the movement, and that's how they do it. I mean, I'm not saying that's what happened here. I'm just saying that is what Brian's describing is absolutely a real thing and is done strategically.
I can't tell you the full details. My father-in-law was in the army for 21 years, and when he come out, he didn't have to apply for anything. He was offered all different positions.
What to do? What?
Do whatever basically he fucking wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And there might have been some sting work or psyop work within that.
We've already got Veach doing that job. I think they need more. Is he not doing a good enough job?
Well, he's obviously lacking at it a little bit.
It got too bigger for just one person to handle. Depending on the size of the movement, you might only need a few people, or you might need thousands.
It's a network, mate. Fucking network, and they don't want this truth coming out.
But what if he honestly just saw this and thought, this looks like drop? I can't explain it. Is that not possible?
For a normal person, I would accept that. But for somebody that's been shown the apparent drop for years now and actively fighting against it and coming up with excuses for why it is dropped, like, it doesn't make sense. For a normal person, I could say, oh yeah, you show them this picture, Earth's curving. Makes sense. It's a drop.
Emo, let me ask you. If you've seen something now that changed your mind, not that there is anything, but let's just say there is.
Yeah.
Would you come back here and shout for the other side? Or would you just blend away and fuck off?
I think that's a good. It depends on the character. We have seen people just.
Would you go against everything you'd done for 5 years? Let's say just 5 years being an optimum figure, like. Would you go against everything you've done and said for 5 years, or would you just sort of sink into the background and fuck off?
Tiger Dan.
I know you're thinking like one should just disappear, but I mean, again, it depends on the character.
I can only say what I do. If I come up against some evidence now that swayed me the other way, not that there is any, but if I did, I wouldn't come back here fucking shouting and bawling for the other side.
Yeah, but
I would go, oh fuck, I've fucked up.
Like Jeremy said, it's like if you're in the community, it's a bit different. So, I mean, he's still a part of it, isn't he? He's not going to just walk away. You're still involved.
Have you noticed, though, how...
Like, look at
allegedly,
Jose. Jose did, didn't he? Sean did.
Yeah, but they both all call us flat earthers. Like it's a derogatory term, isn't it? That's the idea. Yet they were a flat earther for 5 years or more. I wouldn't say it in a derogatory way if I was one of them for 5 years. Would you?
Well, I mean, like I say.
And that points me towards more being a plant to start with.
Sure, you would say it in a derogatory way. You say everything you say now in a derogatory way.
I don't. I'd just tell you how I fucking see it, mate.
No, you say it in derogatory manner.
What you get with me is what you fucking see.
You're incredibly insulting to everyone who engages with you.
Yeah, you say a lot of things completely incorrectly, though, with such conviction. Like the idea that water at its surface is not at the same pressure as atmosphere. That is fucking silly.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm saying it doesn't hold 14.7 psi.
But Brian,
and
you
I don't know where
that
they got that fucking number from.
You said before that if you found something that changed your mind, what you'd say is, "Oh shit, I fucked up. I'm not coming back to rectify anything." So that shows your character. So all the people that you may have swayed with your brashness and aggressiveness and loud voice, you may have persuaded people to come to the flat earth. Wouldn't it be your responsibility, if you found proof of a globe, to then at least come back and try to rectify that wrong?
I wouldn't have the fucking gore to do that.
Well, there you go. It's nothing to do with goal. It's to do with what kind of character you are. Not to do with goal.
So what is it, Ranty? Were you a plant to start with, or did they buy you out? Tell the truth. Talk man to man.
Is there no other option other than those two?
Well, there is.
Well, can you list the others? Can you list the others then?
I remember your first videos where you were allegedly a painter and decorator.
Can you?
And now I start thinking, was that a setup? Was that a fucking theatre that he's presenting to us?
Right.
I've never seen you hang a piece of fucking paper.
You should see a doctor, dude. these thoughts are the sort of thoughts that should lead you to see a doctor.
Why would they be?
Well, tell
Just
him
questioning things.
Tell him you're having these thoughts and see what he says.
Just questioning things. You should go and mind you.
Do you want to see some? Do you want to see some wallpaper that I've hanged, Brian? Would you like? Would it make you feel?
Hanged.
Well, it would have been hanged in the past tense. Would you like me to upload some images for you to have a look at and critique?
Yeah, it would be good.
Would it? Would it also be worthwhile you like watching me at work, maybe on the last video that I put out less than a week ago, where I'm actually on the scaffolding, covered in paint in my decorator's gear, using decorating equipment to actually scale things. You know, maybe that would have given an indication that I am actually a painter and decorator, or maybe you didn't see that.
What's cutting in, Rant?
What, you don't think I know what cutting is? It's where you get your paintbrush and you cut in and make a nice clean line before you roll her up to it.
Okay, well that might delete one of my theories.
Yeah. Best decorator in Blackpool.
Know what cutting in is.
Best decorator in Blackpool, my friend. That's why I'm doing a job now. I'm doing a job now for a guy that on a £4 million house. That's where I'm working at the moment, on a £4 million house.
Does he think the world's round?
No, but he thinks my decorating's fucking amazing.
What? He's not a flat earther, surely.
I have no idea. He owns a solicitors in Preston, a very big solicitors in Preston, actually.
Well, that might have convinced me that you weren't a plant to start with. So that's my other theory now, has took centre stage.
Which is what, that I've been bought off?
Yeah.
How much is the going rate to be bought off nowadays?
You tell me.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just wondering, you know, maybe I should have waited, you know, maybe I should have put it out there that I was swaying, and maybe, you know, waved it around a little bit. People might have come up and offered me some money. What do you think?
I thought you jacked up fucking working for yourself.
Yeah, funnily enough, I did actually have an injury which needed an operation on at the back end of last year, and now I'm back at work. Funnily enough.
For yourself?
Yes, for self-employed, my friend.
I thought you said you're working for somebody.
Yes.
I don't believe you can work for anybody after you've been self-employed.
Well, there you go.
I really don't. No, what I think everybody's doing this. They're questioning why you are championing the other side.
Because, like what I've just said to you before, you said when somebody asked you what would happen if you found out evidence of the contrary, you said that you would hear it, you would understand it, you would appreciate it, and basically you would fuck off and not come back. So basically, all this arguing that we've done over the years, let's say what you've come in here and argued about, you wouldn't put it to rest. You know, you wouldn't come back and admit you were wrong and would tell some of the people that you'd had arguments with in the past that actually, you know, they were right, and, you know, you'd fall on your sword and you'd accept it and you'd maybe, you know, sort of like heal some wounds that you've actually done in the past. And to those people that may have been affected by some of the things that you said, that may have been swayed by what you said, you can at least say to them, hey, I'm holding my hands up, I was wrong, you know, and if I persuaded you in any way, shape or form that the earth was a flat plane, then I apologize, because that isn't the case. You wouldn't do that, I would.
Oh, that's I suppose that's good of you. And of course, you'd give them all their super chats back, yeah?
Well, globe earthers and flat earthers. I think I got more super chats from actual globe earthers, funnily enough. So there you go. You know why that was? Because I wasn't a dick to them.
Why?
Yeah, because I wasn't a dick. I was very down the line. I wanted to find the truth. I wasn't championing one over the other. I wanted everybody to have their own say. And that's why I held a debate, because a debate needs a winner. You know, not a debate where it just carries on and carries on and carries on. I found the winner. My debate is ended.
Yo, is Biodual here?
Somebody else's fucking picture. You know fuck all about.
I know very much about it now, thanks to Bev.
You know nothing about it.
I hate to derail entirely here, and we can get back to this in a second, but Brian, whenever your car doesn't win the race, do you personally refund every ticket?
What do you mean, ticket?
And
Someone
hold on,
pays
let
to
me
watch
just...
the race, and your car doesn't win. Do you refund everything?
No, it doesn't. But let me just say this. When I was hosting the debates, I was hosting a show, a 4-hour show where people had entertainment for 4 hours. If they wanted to give me a super chat, they weren't giving me a super chat because I was a flat earther. They were giving me a super chat because of the entertainment and the work that I was putting in, and the fact that I was willing to spend 4 hours socializing with them every single night, Monday to Friday. So that's why people gave me super chats. Do I need to pay it back? Absolutely not. Globe earthers and flat earthers all chipped in because they all wanted to have their say.
Is that what you believe?
Does anybody else disagree with me other than Brian?
No, but Brian is wrong about a lot of things. So it's
No,
correct
I'm
that he's wrong about
fucking
things.
not. I just proved to you there is no such thing as fucking pull.
No, you didn't. You roundabout way claimed a victory for not knowing the difference between contact and non-contact forces. That's not the same thing as proving there is no pull.
The only non-contact force you can come up with is fucking magnetism.
No, we listed 3 others.
Oh, and what? Fucking
the strong and weak nuclear forces.
Nuclear fucking forces. Yeah. We all interreact with them every bastard day.
You absolutely do. When was the last time you interacted with a set of molecules?
Yeah, I
that
always get my nuclear force out my little bag. Fucking idiot.
You cannot possibly think that you don't interact with a strong and weak nuclear force.
Fuck off, you idiot.
You are only possible because of the strong and weak nuclear force.
Yeah.
All right, demonstrate this nuclear force.
Yeah, you can't. Sorry about that. Oh, I can't do that. A bit like the black hole. I can't fucking prove that either. But there's definitely a black hole.
Are you made of atoms?
Show me the atom. Let's have a look.
Kimo, you know that this is just going to be a reducto ad absurdum where you just keep going back until I can't show you something that you want to see in the way you want to see it.
Well, I'll make an offer.
That is not honest conversation. It is not honest debate. You know that atoms exist. You've admitted to this. You believe in atoms. Don't try this sophist nonsense.
I've got to put some data on my phone because it's going to fucking run out.
Kimo, contact me. You can come to our lab. We'll look at atoms together. I do it every day.
Just provide it. Let's have a look at it. Let's observe what you do.
Hey, isn't the atom the smallest thing there is?
Nope.
Something smaller than an atom.
Subatomic particles.
A neutrino.
How small are they compared to an atom then?
Depends on which subatomic particle you're talking about.
It's all made up nonsense, Brian. Don't worry about it. They're never going to show us.
Well, just name one. Just name one and tell me the relationship to it. And he's how much smaller is that?
A neutron. Quarks. Up, down, left, right.
They fill your head with right nonsense.
There's up, down,
show us
top,
one of these.
bottom,
Show us what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the course.
I
but
made
still.
you an offer, Chemo. Come to the lab. We'll look at them together.
See?
We can look at protons.
Just
What?
nonsense.
We can't see subatomic particles. You can see the tracks that they leave through a cloud chamber or bubble chamber, but
Why is it saying I got 6.2 gig of data and only had 2 points from earlier? What's that going on about?
Their religion, they can change it as they wish.
Ah, the missus has fucking sent me some data. That's all right. We're all right. We're back on.
Where were we? Pulling forces. They can't think of any more pulling forces that they can demonstrate.
There ain't any pulling forces.
That they can demonstrate. Not that they can talk about imaginary pulling magic tentacles pulling things.
I must admit, I argued with Dell for 3 days on email about it because I fucking knew there was such a thing as pulling. Like towing a car is pulling. And he went, no, it ain't.
Went through everything.
Once again, you're running back to contact forces.
Yeah, and they're all a push.
Yes, we agreed. Contact forces are all push.
So where's the pulling forces?
There isn't any.
There are none.
There isn't any. Amazing what we've been lied to and told. Why do you think they call a push bike? They don't call a push bike because you push it everywhere you fucking go. It's because the forces that are applied are a push force.
All of these experts are struggling to think of a pulling force that they can demonstrate.
No, we've named them. The problem is that you don't accept them, and then when we name them, you ask for something. You ask us to prove something you already know to be true.
You've named things. What have you? Where are these things that you've named?
Stop using dishonest tactics. Quit being a shitty human being.
Look, when Adam was in the garden and he named the animals, he saw lion, bird. Where are these things you are naming? Let's have a look at them.
I can give you.
Show me Adam naming the animals. Show me Adam naming the animals. I don't want it on paper.
Hold on, Ranty's got some up.
Ranty's got a timestamp video, Kimo. Show me Adam naming the animals.
Just show me you naming the molecules and the atoms.
No, I said I put this out first, Kimo.
Exactly.
I want the timestamp.
You see?
Hold on, Ranty's got something to say.
Okay.
It's to do with the pull. So, Kimo. So, if we had a tug of war, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pulling, right?
Where's the pulling?
Oh, pushing.
Is it pulling? All right. So team red and team blue are having a tug of war, right? So are they both pulling or are they both pushing?
They're pressing on the rope, digging their feet into the ground, pushing the rope and pushing the floor.
Are they pushing?
All forces, Ranty, are push.
Right, so are they? So they're pushing. So Team Red and Team Blue that are having a tug of war.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing, Brian? Are they pulling or are they pushing?
Pushing. They're pushing against the rope
and the ground.
It's amazing, isn't it? But if you think about it, the anchor man wraps the rope around his shoulder or his waist and leans back on it and pushes. And then the guys grip the rope with a pushing force of their fist or hand, dig their heels in and push.
Sorry, guys.
What they think, Brian.
It isn't wrong, Ranty. I argued fucking for 3 days for
Brian.
it. But he's dead right.
What they think is happening is like when you pull open a door, they think you put your hand in front of the door, and between your hand and the door, there's a magnetic connection, and it pulls the door with magical tentacles.
Jesus Christ, no. You guys are all still talking about contact forces. So, like, Ranty talking about contact forces again. Matt is correct about the contact forces. If it's a contact force,
wrong,
it always resolves as
you've learned something,
Kimo, what
Ranty.
Kimo's saying is complete nonsense, and so you can disregard it.
What, the tug of war?
Contact forces are all pushing forces.
The tug of war? So Ranty thinks tug of war is pull.
Hold on. There's a question in chat. What happens when Mabbott walks up to a door that says push and pull? Does he take a 50-50 chance? I want you to go into Liverpool.
Fishing, Ranty.
I want you to go into Liverpool and just walk up to every single door and push it without ever pulling one. And when you get to a door that doesn't open up, just stand there constantly pushing it.
No, but you don't. You're not thinking. When you put your hand at the back of a handle and what you call pull, you are pushing on the back of the handle.
Exactly. You're
Force
applying
you
pressure.
apply is a push. Now these guys will tell you the same. All contact forces are push.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's why we're the leaders of the new school, because simple things this are easily
The thing
understood.
is, to have a pull like with the rope, you need something that you're using to pull another object that maintains its integrity like the rope. So if gravity is pulling something through space, that would imply that, space itself is the rope that is
Gravity is not a contact
integrity
force.
taut to pull the object, which is a little hard for people to believe nowadays unless, space itself has ropes and pulleys that allow
Gravity is not a contact force.
It is a mystical force.
I can concede the point that Brian made when he said that, if you put your fingers behind the actual handle of the door to pull it, you are in fact actually pushing it from behind.
Right.
So I will concede that.
So Ranty, you will find in the world of contact forces that always is the case. If you're trying to generate a force through contact, you will always find that it is pushing in some way.
Yes, now everyone's getting it. Rachel gets it now. Look, you see.
Hold on, wait. What if you glued your hand to the door?
Yeah, we've taught them. You see it. That's what the leaders of the new school do. They provide information, and we communicate simple things like pulling forces are not existent. Yes.
What if you glued your hand to the outside of the door? Are you still pushing?
You would still have contact with the glue, which would have contact with the door. But the main thing is, if you're pulling, then something needs to be pulled taut in space to allow, the contact to pull the object in most people's minds. So unless space itself is an elastic, taut, rope-like fluid, that doesn't make sense.
We can only push against whatever this realm we're in. The force we use is a push. A propeller pushes air. It doesn't pull it, it pushes air.
Okay, we're going to change direction a little bit, Brian. Your friend, Bearded Dragon, is here. That debunked Ranty. So, Bearded Dragon, Ranty is here.
I've got to go for a pee, so I'll leave it with you.
Do it when you come back then? All right.
You carry on.
No, because you said Bearded Dragon debunked Ranty, and Bearded Dragon is here right now, and you can introduce what he did. Again.
Can you explain what he did?
I haven't watched it. No, I haven't seen it. No, it's news to me. It's Brian's thing.
I think he's done a great job.
Okay.
Hold on, I got to try and get off this bed in me
No,
lorry.
just mute yourself.
We're talking about the video that Bearded Devil put out. Was it today or that one? Okay, I see it.
Yeah.
How does that debunk Ranty?
That debunks Ranty, says Bearded Dragon and Brian. Again, it's news to me. Breaking news. This is something I've heard in the last hour or so.
I'd like to understand where he's coming from.
Well, when he comes back.
Because it looks to me that the tower is below the object in the background.
To me too. But he said that because the atmosphere wasn't included in the image.
Right.
Of, not that, like there isn't any atmosphere between what we were looking at,
Yeah, it was under a vacuum. It was under a vacuum.
Yeah, there's no atmosphere between this image. There's no atmosphere between that. It's been taken in a vacuum.
Right. Brian, is it distorted?
No, he said that if you was to times that by 1,000 or something, or 10,000,
Oh, we've got another image by Bearded Dragon. Look, Ranty, look at the chat. It's hitting you with the images.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, it's there. Take a look at that. There on the big screen.
Right, yeah, but the tower is still way below the mountain.
Yeah, I'm sure you heard that response, Brian. Did you hear that? It's still way below. Bearded, we need your response ASAP. Ranty's here right now. Have what is First of all, can you just write, is it a debunking video? Do we agree it's a debunking video of Ranty?
Well, we have been told that if we kept doing this and we just kept extending the distances, and that eventually, the mountain would get lower than the tower. If we kept scaling it up and just kept scaling it up and scaling it up.
It's certainly getting interesting. It's going to be an hour or so. He said, watch the video. Have you watched the video, Ranty?
I haven't got a link. Can somebody send me a link?
Oh, yeah, we need a link, Bearded Dragon. If you could provide that for Ranty. Oh, here it is. It's coming quick and fast, these videos.
2-minute video. Here we go. Right, I'm going to listen to that. I'll be back in a sec.
Excellent. So, the debunks are coming in thick and fast. Got work to do.
Well, I'm more than comfortable using geometric, vision or whatever to debunk the ball, but that's it. Talk about how things would work on a flat plane. I don't think vision is geometric. So these observations mean little without a laser punching through the globe hump of Earth curvature. Unless a laser hits a hump, these visual observations are just, immaterial.
Can I just post the this is the description underneath the video. So Kimo, I've just posted it in there. Would you be kind enough to read that?
Oh, I'm not going to read it, but I can see it though. Brian, you'll need to read that. It's
No, but would you be kind enough to read it? I mean, you're the modern here. You've got the poshest voice. You've got the poshest voice.
Yeah, but I'm too far from the.
Put some glasses on.
Come on there, Brian. Look.
You shouldn't wank so much.
Are you back now? It's not good.
Observation code named the White Swan has sent flat earthers into an absolute tizzy because it converted a longtime fellow flatty into a non-believer. None other than the man himself, Ranty, no longer flat earth. Quite a few flat earthers have tried various tactics to justify the observation and have either been shown to be dishonest or that they have no idea how to scale properly. All in the vain hope that it will magically comport with the flat earth, which of course it doesn't. In this demonstration, I properly scaled the size of the objects and their distances to the observation point. This is what it would look like if the Earth was flat. No amount of wishing, wanting, or praying from flat earthers is going to change that.
But Brian, it's not a debunking video. Beautiful. It's the opposite of a debunking video, Brian. That's why I never heard of it. Like I say, it's news to me. You see, I had no idea what was going on here. That's why I was handed it over to Brian and Bearded Dragon.
So let me get this right. So Brian presented a video that actually states in the description that it shows that it can't be possible on a flat plane, and Brian presented it as debunking me. Wow.
No, I did not. I've done nothing of the sort.
Just did about an hour and a half ago. It's all on tape, mate. You can't get out of it.
Video at all.
You talked.
I showed you that picture
from
it's in the chat now at 7:53. I presented that picture.
Yeah, from Bearded Dragon.
80 meters.
So
not 80 kilometers.
Yeah, from Bearded Devil, and you said that this debunked me. And yet, when we actually go to the description and we watch the video, it actually backs me up. Even the description backs me up, but you claim that it debunks me.
What he hasn't done is taken into the consideration looking through the atmosphere for 80 kilometers and not 80 meters.
I can't help myself.
So whatever result
so
he's got,
so wait a minute. You're telling him what's wrong.
Sort of exponential curve of increasing atmospheric distortion.
Right. Okay. So is he looking? Was he looking? Was he looking through? Was he looking through the? Was he looking through the atmosphere when he actually took the image himself?
Yes, he was. 80 meters of it.
Right.
Not
Okay.
80 fucking kilometers.
So he was looking through atmosphere. He was looking at objects that were scaled the same height, and you think that if he was to scale it to 1,000 times bigger than that, it would somehow show something different, right? Is that your claim?
Of course it would. What he's done is perfect. He's done it a meter per kilometre, which I agree with him. But what
And
he
it shows
can't
the
do-
same result. It shows the same trigonometry result, the same result that I
Yes.
brought out, the same result that anybody that scales it properly brings out, and it shows that it doesn't match up to the image that was taken. And the one we've been talking about, it doesn't match up at all. It doesn't match reality.
So your image has only got 80 metres of atmosphere it's looking through, has it?
My image?
Yeah.
No.
To the mountain.
My scaled image.
No, the original image.
Uh-huh.
Is it only looking through 80 metres of atmosphere?
No. So what's the atmosphere going to do to it? What's the atmosphere going to change on it? What's it going to do to the mountain?
That they say there's bending light and refraction and compression and all that other shit they come up with.
Every day
You can't
from the same
judge
spot.
80 metres looking through 80 metres and 80 kilometres.
Every day from the same spot. You're going to have
You're
the
not
same result.
understanding what I'm saying, man.
I am.
He
You presented a video and an image, and you said that it debunked me. It actually backed up my scale, my trigonometry one that I did off the scaffolding. It actually backed up trigonometry. It backed up Conspiracy Cats with his trigonometry. It's backed up other people that have also performed the same scale test. And you turned around and said that it actually debunks me because they haven't included the atmosphere.
Correct.
I rest my case.
So, what you're looking at? Can you see that image I posted at 7:53? Can you see that?
Did my case. There's nothing else to actually talk about.
There is.
There's nothing seriously else to talk about.
There is.
You just showed everybody how stupid you are.
No. Think of it. He is looking through 80 meters of atmosphere. In the original image, them mountains from the Blackpool Tower are 80 kilometers.
So now present your findings as to how it makes the position of the mountain below the position of the tower. Now present your evidence, your proof that shows that is an effect, that happens.
Okay, I've just thought of it. He has debunked you. For fuck's sake, Mabbott, what are you doing? How much curvature is there in 80 meters?
80 meters, it would be 3.57 times the square root of your height in meters above the surface to get an 80 meter obstruction. So that would give you the height that you need to be to see over a hump at 80 meters, 80 kilometers or whatever. Did you say 80
meters?
Kilometers?
Shouldn't this, if we lived on an Earth that's curved, shouldn't this be showing you in scale the amount of curvature that would be dropped at 80 kilometers then? I rest my case.
So, since vision is not geometric, it's not justified to use these mathematical geometric approximations. At the angular resolution limit, you're going to have a horizon form that will cut off the image effectively, making vision non-geometric, which makes their mathematical geometry, their optical geometry based off of what the eye is seeing, and the angles they're trying to draw, it makes it very unjustified. Highly unjustified.
Did. How much drop should there be in that 80 meters?
80 meters over the Earth, it will be negligible.
Does that look negligible on there?
Well, you're talking about Ranty's observation or which one?
Let me repost this so you can see it. This is Bearded's picture, right?
Right.
Let me repost it. Hold on. If they're saying this is how it should look on a level plain Earth over 80 meters from oh, somebody's posted it.
This to demonstrate how the ratio would be maintained on a flat Earth. This is Bearded Devil trying to show what he expects to see on a flat Earth,
yes,
but I'm telling them their expectations aren't going to be matched because vision is not geometric. The units are not preserved for scalability.
Well, let's just go with it at the minute and let's just say it's geometric. If we lived on a curved Earth, then how far further would that be down over 80 meters?
80 meters or 80 kilometers in the Ranty observation?
No, meters. There's 80 meters between Blackpool Tower in the foreground and the white board or whatever it is representing the mountain in the background. How much curvature to scale would there be in 80 meters?
Let's go with 80 kilometers. 80.
No, we're not. What, can you divide it from 80 kilometers to meters? Divide it by 1,000.
Let's go with 80 meters then. 0.08 kilometers or 80 meters divided by 3.57 gives you 0.02. When you square that in the formula, that gives you 0.0005. So
millimeters.
Like half of a meter. What is that? Let's see. 3 places. 1, 2, 3.
No, it's not half a meter. That's fucking 18 inches. You don't get that in 80 meters.
What the hell am I listening to right now?
So the formula that I used was 3.57 times the square root of your height in meters above the surface to get the distance to a hump that would obstruct what is beyond, obstruct something at your height or lower. So when you solve for that, you get 0.08 kilometers, 80 meters, divided by 3.57 gives you 0.02. When you square that, you get 0.0005. 0.0005 meters. So that's negligible. Negligible.
If that dropped that amount, would it look like Ranty's picture?
Hell no.
Hell no. Bearded, you have just debunked Ranty's image. Thank you.
Now, if we go with 80 kilometers divided by 3.57, square that, you'd have to be 502 meters above the ground to see a hump that would obstruct something 502 meters or below at 80 kilometers.
Let me ask you guys, when you do math, do you just roll your face across the number pad?
Is there any problem with the numbers?
Sounds good to me, mate.
I assume when they go ad hoc that there's no problem with numbers. Normally they couple their insult with a correction if they had anything to say of any substance.
Your made up math on the made up numbers.
So I'm going to assume that my numbers are golden. Thank you.
You do it. What is Earth's curvature in 80 meters?
What is Earth curve in 80 meters, Mabbit? I don't know.
Yeah, at 8 inches per mile squared.
Yeah, and?
What's the drop in 80 meters?
Where are you starting from?
From the starting point to 80 meters away. What's the drop in 80 meters?
I'm driving right now, Mabbit. I don't know. You tell me.
All right. Okay.
80 meters? Let's see.
I can only do it in miles.
You gotta stay the same scale that he put out there.
How many feet are in 80
I'm
meters?
guessing it's a very, very, very small number.
Yeah, so am I. And if you add that small number to that picture, you'll find it will not be anywhere near where Ranty's pictures showed it to be.
It's almost 400 meters hidden. 6-foot observer, 80 meters.
But to be fair, he's only trying to demonstrate how over a flat surface, that parking lot, the relationship where the bigger object in the background is bigger than the shorter object in the foreground, that relationship is maintained, at least according to the camera. That's all he's trying to show with the scale and what we would expect over his flat idealization. But it forgets about the diffraction limit. The diffraction limit and how our vision is not geometric.
First off, our vision isn't geometric. It's just a non sequitur. That makes zero sense. That's
Well,
like the color blue doesn't taste like bananas. I mean, what does that even mean?
Okay, let's go straight to the point. The diffraction limit would eat up the mountain, and it would effectively look shorter than the shorter object in the foreground when it's really taller.
What's the diffraction limit, Lemon?
The diffraction limit is the point at which two objects that are separated merge into one. Two light zones merge into one. An object like the mountain that towers above the lower half of your vision from your eye level down will merge into, from top to bottom part of your vision, into an unresolvable horizon line that will cut off the object and cut off the mountain a whole lot.
Why would that happen?
Why that would happen?
1,760 yards in a mile.
What's that?
Is there 1,760 yards in a mile?
How many yards are in a mile? I forgot.
Is it 1,760?
I guess I'd have to look at the dictionary.
Oh, come on! Fuck's sake!
That's 3 feet in a yard, so it's basically 5,280 divided by 3, whatever that is.
You spread it, the crap you can't divide?
1,600 roughly, dividing the first two numbers.
I thought it was 1,760 yards in a mile.
Probably, sure.
Are the American miles different to our miles?
I think the two main differences are the statute mile over land and the sea mile or whatever / the nautical.
Hold on, then.
Sea mile?
So are you
How many yards in a mile?
That the
Nautical.
bottom of the mountain is just squished into a tiny
1,760 yards.
1,760 yards. I was right.
Is that what you're saying, Lemon?
So
that everything everywhere we see is squished down to some tiny point?
1,760.
Yes, or it is hiding behind this squished zone that happens in the foreground, aka the horizon, and the horizon, like a coin, is obstructing huge amounts of object beyond.
Boy, you're freaking insane.
You honestly believe that when you look at an object, it doesn't correspond with an equal ratio of how large it is, how far away it is, for how much you can see, but instead it relies solely on how far away it is, and it will squish just the bottoms of the objects and not the upper portions of them. That's what you're
Pretty much. Got it. Up to the diffraction limit, you're golden. Up to the diffraction limit. But past the diffraction limit, where that horizon forms, you are going to have a problem, Houston.
It ain't even going to be half an inch. It's going to be like millimeters.
The bottom.
Sorry,
A little
Ranty.
bit.
Welcome back to Flat Earth, Ranty.
Yeah, guess again.
So,
down, man.
we need a laser hitting this hump of Earth curvature. If it hits the bottom of the mountain, say you're 6 feet above the surface, you shoot that laser at a 6-foot height, and it hits the bottom of the mountain 6 feet, no hump. I don't care how much curvy refraction you want to employ. I don't care how much you want the laser to curve at 8 inches per mile squared. No ball.
Hit the bottom of the mountain with the laser.
I bet you it would. That laser would hit the bottom of the mountain.
How are you going to do that?
With a laser that travels straight and true over the flat land, showing that this is some weird optical phenomenon that is cutting off the mountain.
It's through
It's
other
smushing.
objects.
Like, Lemon, it's all to do with smushing. I went out and got myself a smushometer.
We sure do. We sure do. Now, to demonstrate this smushiness, let's take our theodolite and show the limitations of its level
Oh, that's maybe where the fires started in California, because they tried to do it with a laser. Obviously.
Take a coin close to the theodolite. Make it level with the theodolite and take it as far away as you can. The moment that coin disappears, you no longer have a reliable level line. You are effectively sighting wildly into the air above, around that where that level line once was before it smushed and smashed.
Better yet,
and
don't
that's
use
the
anything but your
limitations
eyeball.
of vision.
What if there's a thief?
Just use your eyeball.
And
If you
he
can't see it,
takes the
then
coin.
it's gone.
What we have to illustrate here, Mr. Letiaho, is that the level line, even of the theodolite, even of the best surveying instruments, will not be maintained optically. It will be crushed and disappear under a taller visual zone, no matter how level you keep that coin as you take it away from that instrument.
Got it.
This is a phenomenon what I would like to call
coin.
What utter bollocks. What completely made up bollocks. How you can say that nonsense to other adults is astounding, really.
It's what we see when we look down a hallway, up to the point where everything smashes together and converges. Your level line is good.
I don't see any of that nonsense.
We see that. Yes, we do.
Yeah, no, we don't.
I want you to put a rare coin down the hallway, and then when it disappears, know that I stole it.
Thief. So up to the diffraction limit, these relationships may hold. Beyond that, things get really, really crazy.
Well, it's flat Earth.
What you're saying?
I think we are familiar to that.
You're saying that
So
80
well done
kilometers
to
is the limit.
everybody.
80 kilometers. What I suspect is happening, gentlemen?
But after 80 kilometers, everything is just going to start smushing out. And so no matter what we see from now on, it's more than 80 kilometers. It's got to be a problem.
If I had to hypothesize, I'd say that there is a diffraction limit that is being reached in the foreground based off of your height off of the flat surface. You're 15 meters above the ground, fine. 15 meters up and 15 meters down from the level of the eyes will smash together at the diffraction limit, forming what we call a horizon. Anything beyond will smush into that extremely fast, like the mountain.
Lemon, do you think the laser will hit the mountain in the picture you saw today?
Hell yes. There's no hump in the way. Nothing's dropping down in a way. It will hit more or less toward the bottom of the mountain.
But the mountain is below the tower, and the tower is below your eye line. That means the laser shoots over the tower.
The activity of the laser will not be affected by the limitation of our eyes, which interprets in error a bunch of smashing. It will travel straight and true over the flat plane and more or less hit the bottom of that target.
So you tell me that you will aim above the tower and you will hit the mountain that is below the tower. Is that what you're telling me then?
You'd need a good angle, but yes.
Well, we said level, right? The tower is below the eye level. You know it is below the eye level because it's below the observer. So you will aim above the tower and you will hit the mountain that is below the tower. Is that what you're telling me, Lemon?
You will aim and fire. It'll be such a narrow angle you can't aim properly. But potentially, yes, you would be able to hit that mountain if you were at the right angle and you aimed properly.
No, I'm not aiming at the right angle. I'm aiming at level. I'm aiming above the tower, and I will hit the mountain that is below the tower. How is that?
You have to be extremely precise. Extremely precise.
Extremely insane because it'd be impossible. I'll get you the laser. You show us.
Well, prove it. I'm just so crazy conspiratard flatty. Take a drone, get up above that shorter tower foreground, and make sure that the relationship where the taller mountain in the back looks shorter than the shorter tower in the front is maintained. When you get higher, does that tower in the foreground all of a sudden drop below the mountain in the background?
No, why would you think that that's even a thing in reality? Why would you even think that? It's just
because I'm in a parking lot and I see two poles that are the same height. One is lower than the other, and they're the same freaking height. Vision does a lot of stuff, but if I raise up an elevation, those two poles will appear equal, and then one will drop below the other in the front.
You can calculate for that, though, Lemon.
Which will drop,
and it's calculated for, and that does not account for what we see in that picture. It also doesn't account for any of the bullshit that you just came out with. That smushing and things suddenly disappearing, and would it come back if you go higher? I mean, it's just nonsense. You've never experienced any of that.
We experience it in a parking lot, and that's when they're the same size, yet one looks lower than the other.
Yes, Lemon. And which pole will drop below the other when you go up?
When you go up, the relationship will reverse. The one that looks taller in the foreground will drop below the other one if you get high enough.
Yes, this is the situation. We're above the pole, which is much shorter than the other. And yet still it looks above it, Lemon. Doesn't work what you say.
So this would help settle things a bit more. If the tower in the foreground continues to be higher than the mountain in the background, then we have physically lower object with the mountain in the background compared to the tower in the foreground. But if the mountain in the background all of a sudden raises above the tower in the foreground, well, then it's probably something having to do with perspective.
Yeah, and if lightning strikes and the Earth suddenly stretches out and becomes flat, the Earth will be flat. But that isn't going to happen either, Lemon.
Lemon, we know that will happen because as we go up, things that even if they are taller, drop below things that are smaller. We know that. What you're trying to achieve, we already above the tower. No need to go any higher.
So the only way to decide this would be to see if that relationship maintains with a level drone, hovering around, seeing if the taller, shorter relationship maintains.
No, there is no taller, shorter relationship. If you go higher, the tower will drop below the mountain. We know it will.
Okay, so it's not physically lower then. It's probably something having to do with perspective over a flattish plane.
How far down the rabbit hole did you go before your perspective started mushing and smashing all together that you had no way getting back to reality?
This is cutting edge optics and cutting edge FE science. We still have to research this further.
Are you serious?
Have fun.
What happened?
Lemon, shut up.
Oh.
It happens occasionally.
Oh dear, I love you guys.
Brian's posting some images of some cars that he's apparently won some races in. Is that right?
Not me, no. I build them.
Oh, you build them. So are the cars real then?
I think so. Yeah, we raced one today, the black one.
Okay, so you build them, and other people build them too. And you're not involved in some conspiracy or what have you, that they're not really there.
What's a conspiracy?
Just asking a question. You know, you actually build something, and you know that those parts go to
Check
build
the
something,
results.
right?
Check the results of the Burkitt 6-hour race last year, and see who won Class A.
Yeah, but that's just online. Anyone could say that.
Oh no, I've got a fucking trophy. They even give me a trophy for being a team manager.
Yeah, but I wasn't there. I can't prove it. You could be in a conspiracy. You could just be saying this and pretending that you build these cars.
Yeah, well, Apollo, yeah. Their company, the guy who rents that car is, I've told this C4 a fucking dozen times. People who rent that car, their business is called Apollo. And that's why they have Apollo on it.
Funny, because, you know, you didn't get what I was saying then, did you?
I don't think you get what you're saying. It's
So-
going to be hard for you, Rant. You've got to come back to the fucking flat Earth now.
Do you believe in NASA?
Do I believe in them? It's an organisation, yeah, but what they actually do is questionable at the least.
Do you believe that they build? Do you believe they build rockets?
I believe they build rockets, yeah.
Do you believe that they send people into space?
No, we can't go into a vacuum. It's impossible.
So,
unless, of course, it's not a
I was
vacuum.
in a vacuum when I was 2 years old.